This diaper-wearing kid was born at the exact moment the strongest ancient god was reincarnated. But instead of the typical storyline where he'd be overpowered right from his diaper days, over 20 years have passed and absolutely nothing has happened. The only strange thing is, ever since he became self-aware, Shaka often dreamed of a war between gods. So realistic that it felt like it was happening right in front of him. Just like any other day, Shaka suddenly woke up with a start from that dream, clutching his sweat-drenched face. Perhaps this was just his body's internal biological clock, reminding him not to oversleep. That's why he always woke up before 11 in the morning, scrambling to find his shoes to head out for work. He lived in Hongdo Bay, in City S. After surviving the Millennium Solar Storm, it recovered rapidly, becoming a nationally renowned hub for scientific and technological development. Since it was summer break, it was the perfect time for Shaka to work hard and make some money. He wore a thick egg roll mascot costume in scorching heat that felt like a furnace, constantly waving his sign to attract customers. "Hey there, gorgeous. Come try our newly launched egg rolls. Only 12 yuan a serving, it's a super deal." Luckily for Shaka, his luck seemed pretty good today, as he actually managed to get a glance from a customer. These days, everyone is drinking boba and eating mochi. No one even eats egg rolls for meals anymore. The only reason people gathered around Shaka was because of his bizarre mascot suit, taking videos of him to post on TikTok for views. Looking at the judging stares from passers-by, Shaka deeply regretted applying for this job. All he needed was a single word of encouragement to keep going. Just then, a kid walked by and pointed at Shaka in awe. "Mommy, look at that guy, he's so cool." While Shaka was practically wagging his tail with joy, the kid smirked mischievously. "Is he a fat superhero? When I grow up, I'm definitely not going to be fat like him." Shaka wanted to rip off his costume right then and there to challenge the brat, but his boss's booming voice made him turn pale. "What's with your attitude toward the customers?" Shaka immediately shut his mouth. To make matters worse, his boss scolded him for not bringing in a single customer all morning. He called Shaka inside and threw a small stack of bills at him for the days he'd worked, making it clear he was being fired. Shaka tried everything he could to convince his boss, saying, "I've got God-given good looks, long legs, and a loud voice. Why are you firing me?" Hearing this only made the boss even more annoyed. "I originally thought your looks could save the shop, but you're not that handsome. In your 3-day trial, the only customer you brought in was a scammer. Take your money and get out." With nothing left to say, Shaka could only gather his things and leave. If he couldn't do this job, he'd find another. Taking off that smelly egg roll costume, Shaka felt light as a feather. Despite just being fired, he remained incredibly optimistic. Getting off early meant he could fully focus on his match tonight. That night, Shaka loaded up on energy drinks, smashed his keyboard, and finally made it to the finals of this trash game. "This kid isn't half bad, but yours truly has never lost a match on my way here. Where do you think you can hide?" Shaka tracked down his opponent and finished him off in one shot. He slammed his desk in excitement, riding a wave of pure adrenaline. It took him a whole month of grinding to finally win this championship. Turns out even trash games aren't that easy to beat. Suddenly, the guy he just killed sent him a cryptic message. "Stay alive. See you on the battlefield." Shaka frowned in confusion. Was this guy so salty that he was resorting to cursing him? Meanwhile, elsewhere in City S, a young man sat with his chin in his hand, staring amusedly at his computer screen. TSK, this kid is still insanely good at gaming. I've got high expectations for you, Shaka." Shaka typed out a reply but ended up deleting it, telling himself he was too lazy to deal with a big mouth like him. Now, it was time to shower and get some sleep. Having just won the championship, Shaka didn't have any nightmares tonight. Instead, he dreamed of being pampered by 4 beautiful girls all at once. Just as he was about to get down to business, a loud, obnoxious male voice barked in his ear. "Open up! Delivery!" Still half asleep, Shaka checked the clock and saw it was only 4 in the morning. He cursed under his breath, shouting, "Coming! Coming!" What kind of delivery service is this dedicated? A delivery guy stood there, his hair covering half his face, showing only his mouth and a set of pearly white teeth. It startled Shaka, making his heart skip a beat. The moment he took the package, the delivery guy turned to leave, tossing over a cryptic warning. "Keep it safe, Shaka." Shaka stood there dazed for a moment before heading back inside. Inside the package was a wooden box, beautifully carved with intricate patterns. He took a deep breath, his hands trembling. Holy crap! Is this the championship prize from that game company? In their last event, they did say the champion's reward would be a gaming peripheral. The global limit is basically the most powerful weapon on the planet right now. Zyge excitedly popped open the box, eager to witness the beauty of the ultimate weapon. But the light in his eyes instantly vanished when he saw the dull blade resting in his hand. Holding the blade, Shige cursed out loud. His company had dragged him out of bed at 4 in the morning, only to send him a piece of junk that couldn't even slice a tomato. Just then, the delivery guy called his master, Lady Marie, to confirm the job was done, telling her the blade had been delivered. He didn't suspect a thing. Shiji tossed the dull blade back into the box and went right back to sleep. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. It was that overly enthusiastic broker. The moment he picked up, a greasy voice oozed through the speaker. "Hey there, baby Shige. Daddy's here." Shige vented all his frustration on the broker for hooking him up with a job where he had to wear an outfit that looked like a pile of hot garbage every single day. The guy on the other end nonchalantly asked, "Wait, did you get fired again? But hey, you lasted longer this time." With that, he sent Shige a new job offer in South Whitestone. Hearing those words, Shige's eyes lit up, and he forgot all about cursing the guy out. South Whitestone was a state-of-the-art tech zone built right after the solar storm of the century. Every cutting-edge tech company in the world had a headquarters there. Zyge hopped on an express submarine heading to this wage-slave paradise, wondering what flavor of capitalism he'd have to deal with this time. Just then, as the submarine passed through an undersea tunnel, an excited kid shouted, "Once we pass through here, we'll be in South Whitestone." Shige dazed out and looked around, his eyes locking onto a long-haired girl in a short skirt who was pressed right up against the glass window. Whoa, beautiful. The undersea tunnel really lives up to the hype. The kid was still incredibly curious about the waters right in front of them, especially when his dad mentioned that this wasn't the actual ocean floor. The girl turned to them and explained, "The real deep sea is actually pitch black and freezing cold. It's not beautiful at all." Shige went pale. The real deep sea? Has this girl actually been down there? Suddenly their eyes met. At that moment, only one word crossed Shige's mind: breathtaking. Her flushed, innocent, doe-eyed face felt like 1,000 of Cupid's arrows piercing straight through Shige's heart. When she waved at him, it felt like Cupid had traded his bow for an assault rifle and started blasting. Just then, they arrived at Beehigh Station, and she got off. Shige didn't want to miss his chance, but he stood no shot against the dozens of other guys swooning over her just like he was. And just like that, Zyge lost his muse, left all alone once again. At the Platinum Building, the receptionist was puffing on a cigarette while playing online mahjong. "Nice. Finally got a killer hand. There's no way I'm losing this time." Right then, Siege tapped on the desk and asked, "Is Golden CA here?" This set her off instantly. "Damn it. Can't you see I'm about to win here?" The guy's in the very last room at the end of the hall. As soon as Zyge walked away, she let out a wild shriek like a monkey, probably having just won her hand. As he walked down the hall, silently judging the receptionist, a door next to him suddenly burst open, and a body came flying out. Saiji turned his head and saw a massive, muscular figure stepping out of the room. "My patience has its limits. I showed you respect, and you threw it back in my face." As the scrawny guy on the floor begged for mercy, a hand suddenly grabbed Shija's shoulder, and a voice that gave him goosebumps whispered, "Oh, little Shija, you're finally here." This was Daikao Dan Nyan, the manager of Kim Kwang Brokerage Services. He led Siege into a room where other wage slaves had gathered. There were 5 people in total inside, and every single one of them looked incredibly tense. A mysterious guy with hair covering his face kept glaring at Shige, making him subconsciously gulp. Still, Shige shot him a look to show he wasn't someone to be messed with. Daikao grabbed some documents, handed them out to the group, and announced that this was a massive gig for everyone. After reading the documents, 2 of the guys' eyes lit up in awe. Is this really from the Kongwang Group? This conglomerate was one of the top 3 medical corporations in the world, holding massive influence over the entire internet technology sector. But Saij couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Daiko finally dropped the price for the gig after taking his cut. It came out to 50,000. "Are you kidding me? Why don't you just go rob a bank instead?" Shige totally agreed with the other 2 guys. This dude might be named Daikao, but he had the greedy heart of a starving tiger. Zieg looked around and put the pieces together. This place was nothing but a den of thieves. Just then, a long-haired guy struck up a conversation with him. "Hey, this is straight-up extortion, isn't it, Siege?" Knowing someone else saw it the same way brought him some peace of mind. But even so, they had no choice but to fork over the cash. Meanwhile, the white-haired guy was quietly reflecting on the mission his boss had assigned him. He was the one secretly tailing Shijiya, but right now, Shijiya looked like nothing more than an ordinary average worker. But there was no way someone handpicked by Longshi for surveillance could be just some ordinary guy. This only made him more curious about what Shijiya would do once he got dragged into this game. So, he kicked things off by standing up and shouting, "Let's get out of here, I don't need this opportunity anymore," and just as expected, that guy Dagu wasn't about to let them leave. A massive brute blocked the exit, demanding 40 yuan from everyone. Meanwhile, Dagu sat there, acting all high and mighty as he warned them not to play smart. The white-haired guy let out a goofy laugh, muttering, "Well, looks like the difficulty just leveled up." Seeing him smirk, a bald thug grabbed him by the collar, ready to get violent. Whitehair quickly whipped out his card to pay up. Shijiya could only stand there frozen, not daring to make a move as he waited for the right moment to act. He followed the crowd out to the reception area. Just then, another thug showed up, flirting with the girl at the entrance, asking, "Is Yinghua here?" "That's right, Yinghua missed you." Dagu then led his gang right up behind Shijiya. One look at this Yinghua guy, and you could tell he was nothing but bad news. Yinghua asked Dagu how business was going, bragging about how hard he had to work to catch a little cutie for inspection. Right then, a loud crash from upstairs startled everyone, followed by a gang of guys chasing after a girl. That familiar figure instantly reminded Shijiya of someone. Suddenly, she tripped and flew straight toward him before Shijiya could even react. They both crashed to the floor, with her face landing right on his crotch. Her shirt had popped open a few buttons, and her face turned bright red. "I'm so sorry." "Wait. What are you doing here?" Before they could even process what was happening, a rough hand grabbed her by her ponytail and yanked her back. A bunch of guys who looked like total junkies started treating her like their personal plaything. "Sorry, Yinghua. This little brat is pretty clever." Seeing this, Shijiya's blood boiled, and he screamed at them to let her go. Dagu quickly warned him not to play the hero. "Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong. The place upstairs is a legit ad agency." As he spoke, his eyes were completely glued to her chest, which was practically spilling out of her shirt. The more Shijiya thought about it, the madder he got. His dream girl was about to be defiled. There was no way in hell. He was going to just stand by and watch. Catching them off guard, Shijiya snatched the walkie-talkie from Dagu's hand and smashed it right into a blonde thug's face, sending him flying backward, eyes rolling as he rolled across the floor. Dagu's eyes widened in shock as he muttered, "Well, damn. This kid looked like a total pushover, but he's actually got some guts." But right after making his big, dramatic move, regret washed over Shijiya, and he grabbed the girl's hand to make a run for it. Yinghua, whose face had been dark with rage, finally exploded. "You bunch of useless trash. Get after them." The bald thug ordered the rest of the scammed crowd to stay put and not move an inch, and the chubby guy obediently complied. The white-haired guy was pleasantly surprised by Shijiya's style, silently rooting for him before slipping away. A mob of angry thugs chased after Shijiya, screaming that they were going to skin him alive. Realizing they were in deep trouble, Shijiya signaled the girl to run ahead. He then pushed a pile of junk right into the path of the oncoming mob, who couldn't brake in time, ending up buried under the pile of junk, allowing Shijiya to smugly gain some distance. But suddenly, the girl came to a halt, leaving Shijiya completely bewildered. Turns out, they had run in a giant circle and ended up right back where they started in this maze. Dagu chuckled and tried to reason with him, saying, "I actually like your guts, kid. How about you come back, and I'll give you a 50% discount." "Save your breath, it's not gonna happen," Shijiya taunted. Absolutely livid, Yinghua immediately ordered his massive goons to jump Shijiya all at once. Terrified, the girl shrank behind Shijiya. Just then, his eyes landed on the blonde thug with the swollen face, and a plan instantly popped into his head. Shijiya grabbed her hand and bolted in another direction, dodging the thugs. He charged straight at the blonde guy, who frantically clutched his face and cried out, "Are you kidding me? Why me again?" But just as the guy was about to wet himself from fear, Shijiya swept past him like the wind, casually tossing their card reader back to them. Yinghua stormed over, grabbing Xiaofei by the collar and roaring, "Damn it, Xiaofei. What the hell are you doing? If you don't catch them, don't even think about coming back." Fortunately, Shijiya finally escaped that maze of a building, but they still hadn't completely shaken off the thugs chasing them. The girl shyly whispered, "How much longer do we have to hide here?" Shijiya chuckled sheepishly, replying, "Those thugs are still around, so we can't leave just yet." But standing in such a tight alleyway with a girl whose chest was barely covered, was starting to make Shijia feel incredibly hot under the collar. Me? Hey, it was the right thing to do. By the way, looks like they've finally gone. Night finally fell, making the bustling streets of Nanbaishijo come alive. Shijia was now walking side by side with his dream girl, who gave him a playful look. She poked Thicksa's bright red nose and said, "Thank you so much for today." He felt a sharp sting, like an ant bite. Even though he brought it upon himself, he couldn't help but laugh. Now, the most important part had finally arrived. The girl introduced herself as Dao Tu, and Thichka shared his name too. Now, they were officially acquainted. The dark alley was so cold it made Dao Tu sneeze, so Thichka immediately handed her his jacket to block the wind. Honestly, if I were the author, I would have sent them straight to a motel right then and there. Running out of things to say, Thickse asked out of curiosity if those bad guys had done anything to her. Looking down at her exposed state, she reflexively slapped Thichka, stammering that her dress had just gotten torn while she was escaping. Dao Tu had snuck out of her house to find a job, but she ended up getting scammed. That shady advertising company tried to force her into doing spicy photo shoots. Desperate, Dao Tu kicked over all the equipment and managed to knock out the guard. But while running away, she tripped and fell right on top of Thichka. As she told the story, her eyes began to sparkle. "I'm so lucky I met you." Thick Chie blushed, feeling like he had just become someone special to his muse. But Dao Tu realized it was getting dark, and she worried her brother would be looking all over for her. She quickly grabbed her lipstick, wrote her phone number on the back of Teek's hand, and ran off. Staring at the writing on his hand, Thieksa felt a surge of electricity run through him. Was his single life finally coming to an end? Meanwhile, back at Anhoa's bandit gang headquarters, the crew was getting chewed out for letting Thick Cha and Dao Tu slip away. In a fit of rage, he kicked Tufi right in the crotch, making the other thugs reflexively cover their own thighs. "You couldn't even keep an eye on 2 kids? What the hell am I feeding you guys for?" At this point, Daikao spoke up to calm Anhoa down, saying, "Boss, I'm the one who brought her in. It's my fault. I have his address on me." Anhoa immediately ordered Daikao to hunt down Thika, while he dialed someone on his phone, gesturing for the rest of the gang to keep absolutely quiet. "Hello? Is this Lord Hoajia?" Hearing the name Hoajia, the whole gang reflexively covered their mouths. He was the leader of the Thonlang gang, oozing an incredibly slick vibe. "What happened this time?" Instantly terrified, Anhoa stammered as he explained what happened with Thick Ka. "Some punk broke our rules on the streets. We need to teach him a lesson." The sound of dripping water woke Thicksa up. He looked around in confusion, finding himself in the middle of a surreal, mystical space. A bizarre voice echoed around him. "Thicksa, I've finally found you." Thicksa bolted up, frantically looking around to see who it was. But looking down at the water's surface, he froze in utter shock. His shadow had somehow grown massive and taken on a bizarre, monstrous shape. Terrified, Thich Ta fell backward onto the ground. "Crap. Is it that demon god again?" The shadow didn't answer, only letting out a maniacal laugh that echoed through the dark. Thick Sa splashed the water, trying to force him to show his true form, but suddenly felt a sharp sting on his hand. All at once, a whirlpool formed right around him. The water droplets morphed into hands of all sizes, tightly grabbing his body so he couldn't move a muscle. Finally, Thick Ka jolted awake in his bed. This nightmare felt way more real than any of his previous ones. Looking down at his palm, he gasped in horror. It was actually bleeding, just like in his dream. He glanced over at the black blade resting beside him. He figured he must have sleepwalked and grabbed it, but he was certain he had left it in the living room. The more he thought about it, the more bizarre it all became. Shaking it off, Thickcha headed into the bathroom. After showering, he noticed some writing on the back of his hand had smudged, wiping out 2 of the digits. Oh, crap, that was Dao Tu's phone number. Groaning with regret, Thich Cha collapsed onto the couch. No wonder the universe had kept him single for so many years. But a text from the game company immediately lifted his spirits to an all-time high. They invited him to the Kwanghu building in Nambak Thak Chau to attend the award ceremony, which was hosted in a grand and luxurious fashion. The hall was packed to the brim, but 2 girls still managed to recognize Thich Ka and respectfully escorted him to the dressing room to change. Hearing them mention the scepter, Thiksai excitedly dashed off. The 2 girls looked at each other and let out a disappointed sigh. Honestly, without that sash, you'd never guess he was the champion. At the end of the day, he just had an ordinary face. Panting heavily, Thich Ca reached the dressing room, where a young man pointed him toward the scepter. Taking a deep breath, he yelled, I'm your champion this year. The name's Thicka." Just then, the event organizers called for all the winners to gather backstage and get ready. Thicka clumsily dragged the scepter along, but because it was so heavy and he was in such a rush, he ended up face-planting hard onto the floor. A voice, both strange and yet familiar, rang out. "Prostrating yourself the moment we meet? I can't believe I lost to a guy like you." How embarrassing. Thicka immediately recognized him as the white-haired youth from the bandits' hideout, recalling his parting words. "Take care of yourself." Shijia didn't even bother to care. At the award ceremony, the host, Bao Bao, enthusiastically introduced the top 3 players on this year's esports leaderboard. The champion was Shijia, the runner-up was Ruiman, and in third place was NPC. Bao Bao wanted to turn and ask Shijia how he felt, but all Shijia wanted to know was how much longer he had to hold on to this scepter. Bao Bao just skipped right over him and moved on to introduce a special guest representing the Kongwang group, Miss Mu Zhaohua. That was when Daozi stepped out in a pure white dress. She walked up to Shijia, and seeing him about to call out her name, she gestured that this was a little secret between the two of them. "Please keep it a secret for me." Shijia blushed, unable to say a word, just watching Daozi walk up to deliver her speech. She grabbed the microphone, cleared her throat, said a few standard lines, and then raised her voice to fire up the crowd. "On behalf of the Kongwang Group, I am proud to announce that next year we will invest 100 billion to build a global esports ecosystem." Facing the current Daozi, Shijia felt even more useless. In the end, he was just a loser, clutching a piece of scrap metal she had thrown him, and the two of them lived in completely different worlds. Those blurred red ink numbers didn't even matter anymore. Meanwhile, Ruman suddenly received a new mission instead of keeping tabs on Shijia, to capture a wanted criminal in the city. A smirk played on his lips as he put on his legendary glasses and a skin-tight suit, slicking back his hair to look incredibly dashing. "Shijia, I'm gonna be gone for a while. Take good care of yourself." That night, Shijia was wandering on his way back home, never imagining an award ceremony could drag on for so long. But at least he got to see his goddess, Taozi. She was still keeping his jacket, and just thinking about that made him ecstatic. But he quickly shook off those thoughts and slumped back into his exhausted walk. Suddenly, Shijia bumped into something both hard and soft. Looking up, he was shocked to find himself surrounded by a crowd of thugs. Shijia looked like a homeless guy, so surely they weren't trying to mug a hobo, right? A blonde punk barked, "Stand straight. Our boss is looking for you." Shijia was utterly confused, wondering which mob boss he had accidentally pissed off. A black-haired guy wearing chains and slicked-back hair stepped forward. "You're Shijia, right?" Shijia immediately waved his hands in denial. Only an idiot would admit it right now. He needed to run while he still could. Suddenly, Yinghua's voice rang out as he jumped out in a rage to accuse him. "You ruined my plans. Even if you turned into a dog, I'd still recognize you." Now, Shijia understood why he was surrounded, and he warned himself not to let his guard down. This crowd was on a completely different level from the street punks he faced before. One thug swung an iron pipe, sending Shijia flying. Armed with pipes and rocks, they closed in and started stomping on him. Shijia could only curl up and grit his teeth through the pain. There were just too many of them, and he didn't have the strength to fight back. He had thought today was his lucky day winning the championship and seeing Daozi again, only to end up getting jumped in this dark alley. Seeing Shijia writhing on the ground, one of the thugs pulled out a dagger, ready to carve him up. But out of nowhere, the black blade flew in, slicing clean through his raised arm. They all stared at each other in utter shock, as if they'd just seen a ghost, while Shijia slowly stood up, gripping the black blade in his hand. Seeing his glowing red, bloodthirsty eyes, they realized they had messed with the wrong guy. The boss, Li Dan, broke out in a cold sweat, realizing the blade had flown over to save Shijia on its own. There was only one explanation. Shijia was also an Esper, just like their master Huo. The brainless thugs, however, failed to sense the danger and charged right in, but every single one of them was sent straight to the afterlife with a single slash from Shijia. He spun the blade 360 degrees in his hand, then hurled it like a boomerang. Without even blinking at the bloody carnage before him, Shijia instantly cut off the escape route for those trying to flee in terror. Their blood-curdling screams echoed through the narrow alley. In the end, only Yinghua was left. He trembled violently, unable to comprehend how Shijia had suddenly become so cold-blooded. Just then, something surged behind him. Li Dan, who was completely doped up, charged forward like a raging bull with his face as red as a tomato. A single punch from him unleashed a massive shockwave, forcing Shijia back. Yinghua called out Li Dan's name, but seeing the organization's adrenaline-boosting drug vial shattered on the ground, he immediately understood what was happening. Lao Zhu confidently raised his muscular arm, only to realize his wrist had already been sliced open and was bleeding. Yet, Shijia's completely indifferent, defiant gaze only served to excite him even more. Haha, bring it on. I'll show you what I'm made of. 5 minutes ago, before things got completely out of hand, Lao Zhu had popped a handful of the organization's pills. In an instant, his entire body felt like it was being torn apart and rebuilt. Only a few pills were left in the vial. It seemed Lao Zhu didn't care about his own life anymore. He flexed his massive muscles, shattering his chains and ripping his clothes to shreds, charging wildly at Shijia like a mad bull. Lao Zhu's powerful punch looked like it could shatter a person's internal organs, but Shaka easily dodged it. He tested him as they fought. "Aren't you a psychic? Let me see what you've got." Lao Zhu threw punch after punch. Despite his bulky build, he was incredibly fast, but Shaka dodged even faster than a normal human. All you could see was a blur, sending dirt and rocks flying into the air. Lao Zhu was confident. Having dominated for so many years, he'd surely run into all kinds of psychics, and the ordinary ones were nothing but ants to him. Having toyed with Lao Zhu long enough, Shaka landed a light punch right in his gut, making Lao Zhu choke up spit. He bit his lip and held his breath, suppressing a gut-wrenching pain while his head spun like crazy. This kid is actually pretty interesting. In the next second, he leapt high into the air, clasping his hands together for a final crushing blow. When Lao Zhu landed, the ground erupted as if hit by an atomic bomb. Just as Shaka flew out of the smoke, he was grabbed by Lao Zhu's massive hand. Striking a discus thrower pose, Lao Zhu roared, "There is no way I am losing to you." Lao Zhu swung his arm, sending Shaka flying through the air. Watching these monsters tear each other apart, Yinghua's jaw hit the floor. This drug is seriously powerful. Lao Zhu rushed forward, punching the wall Shaka had crashed into over and over, utterly thrilled. He finally stopped after a while. As Yinghua hid in the distance, anxiously waiting to see the result, Lao Zhu's face suddenly twisted, as if he had seen a ghost. Through the dust, Shaka blocked his giant fist with just one hand, and Lao Zhu could not even budge. Suddenly, Shaka let go, only to grab Lao Zhu's arm and bend it backward, making him squeal like a stuck pig. With just that one move, Lao Zhu felt like his arm had snapped, and he collapsed onto the ground. Shaka casually struck a pose, then drove his heel into Lao Zhu's chin, sending him flying into the sky. Right now, only one word filled Lao Zhu's head. Monster. Shaka was basically just toying with him like a clown, and yet the old man actually thought they were on the same level. Shaka circled behind him, summoning his black blade to spill his blood. Just then, a gunshot rang out. A trembling Yinghua pulled the trigger several times into Shika's back, screaming, "Die, you monster!" He slumped to the ground, thinking he was safe, but Shaka slowly stood back up, turning to look at him with glowing red eyes. For the first time in his life, Yinghua felt a terror that shook his very soul. He crawled backward like a dog, his voice shaking uncontrollably. Wait, let us talk about this. No need to get violent." With that, he turned and bolted, not daring to look back. With that, Shaka dropped the black blade and let out a heavy sigh, leaning against the wall as his whole body ached. Damn it, this body really is weak. Show yourself. A pair of red high heels stepped out of the shadows, a coquettish voice saying, "Since the omen of the apocalypse, I have been searching for you. So you were the one who woke me up early, Mary?" Mary's eyes sparkled as she bowed submissively. "I have been eagerly awaiting your return, my master, Lord Lucifer." Lucifer angrily told her to stop getting ahead of herself. Facing his wrath, Mary was visibly terrified. Lucifer covered his face in exhaustion. "It is not time for this body yet. Look, is this the result you wanted?" According to Lucifer, Shaka still could not handle his power. If Mary gave him the god-slaying blade, it would only kill him. And if that happened, even Lucifer would fade away. Mary stood there in shock, not understanding what she did wrong, but Lucifer could only warn her not to approach Shaka anymore. He would help Shaka awaken as fast as possible, but whether he could handle the power was still unknown. With those words, Lucifer passed out, sending Mary into a panic. She regretted being so impatient and putting Lucifer in danger. "Do not worry, Lord Lucifer. Before he truly awakens, I will protect him from the shadows, and I will not let him be found out." Looking at the mess in front of her, Mary simply snapped her fingers, and everything vanished as if it had never existed. Before fading away, Lao Ju whimpered in terror, a monster, a demon blade. Night soon fell over Shika's house. Since his body was injured, he groaned in pain. At the same time, Lucifer snapped. A mortal body really is trash. Wake up already. Suddenly, a flash of light hit, and his soul drifted right out of his body. He looked around in deep thought, wondering what this strange place was. Standing in a vast space, Shika touched his body, gasping, "Oh!" The injuries on his body were completely gone. Is this another dream? Suddenly, a blade flew out of nowhere behind him. This is your subconscious. A dark energy began to swirl around, growing larger until it looked like a specter with glowing red eyes. Since you lost consciousness, I had no choice but to summon you here, scaring Shika out of his mind. A demon blade? A demon god? This has to be a dream. Wake up, Shika. Just then, the dark energy furiously lunged at him. What is a dream, and what is reality? In an instant, it punches straight into the ground, unleashing a blinding flash of light. Are these real? Shakya asks in confusion, pointing at the glass pane in front of him. Wait, are these projection screens? He leans in closer to get a better look. Whoa, the demon's voice echoes once again. And then there is this. Suddenly, the scenery of the world blurs out. Staring at the screen, he freezes in shock. The demon speaks in a flat, monotone voice. The universe is vast, and its changes are infinite. What you call reality can shift at any moment. The foundation of the universe, its eyes glow a fierce, burning red, as if to emphasize, is elements. Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet splits wide open. He plummets downward in sheer panic, only to halt abruptly just as he is about to hit another surface. I stopped. A blinding light flashes right before his eyes. All he can stammer out is, "Huh? What the?" Streams of colorful light swirl over his head. The demon's voice continues. Everything in existence is made of elements. A stream of water glides past him. The element of water represents the binding of matter, symbolizing nourishment and preservation. Next, a blazing flame charges toward him. The element of fire represents active energy, creating both heat and cold. Then, a gust of wind sweeps overhead, carrying a cluster of floating rocks. The element of wind represents change, propulsion, and support. The element of earth represents stability and solid matter, giving all things a place to dwell. As he struggles to make sense of the chaos, the voice declares with absolute certainty, no matter how the world's appearance changes, elements and power are eternal. Learn to control them, and everything in existence will be yours to command. Shakya looks around at the swirling elements. They aren't just earth, rivers, fire, and wind. It feels bizarre, because earth, rivers, fire, and wind are actually made of them. Back in the real world, he coughs up blood in his sleep, coughing and wheezing. But in his subconscious mind, something is violently striking his chest. Shakya screams in agony. Ugh, it hurts so bad. The demon sneers at his frail physical form. Your weak body is breaking down, and your subconscious mind will suffer for it. Powerless, he collapses. Am I going to die? Forcing the words out, he gasps. No, I don't want to die yet. The demon looks down at him coldly. Please, save me. But the demon only scoffs. Fragile humans. With a flick of his wrist, he hurls the water element straight forward. Shakya recoils in fear. What is this? What are you doing to me? Magical sigils begin to swirl around Shakya, leaving him staring at his own body in utter shock. The pain is completely gone. He looks at his hands, now surrounded by glowing runes, as all the water gathers around them. What on earth are these symbols? A massive magic circle unfolds in front of him. The demon has now materialized into a complete physical body. This is the ancient book of elemental synthesis. He listens closely, but he still can't quite make out the figure's face. It will help you absorb the surrounding water element to stabilize your injuries. Fearing the demon will vanish, Shakya calls out, "Wait!" The figure instantly teleports behind him. Remember this magic circle, and make sure you survive. Shakya wakes up, lying exhausted on his bed. The demon's voice still echoes in his mind. Learn to control them, and everything will be yours to command. He stares blankly up at the ceiling. The surreal experience leaves his head spinning. My head hurts. Suddenly, a loud shout barks from the front door. So this is it! This is the punk's house! He jolts awake. Huh? Outside, Someone urges the others to kick the door down and smash the lock. Gangsters begin hammering on Shakya's door. Listen up. Once we get inside, move fast. Another thug warns hesitantly. Huoge, I heard this kid is also an Esper. You'd better be careful. Shakya overhears everything from inside. He curses silently. Not the Green Wolf Gang again. I can't fight them, and I can't even hide from them. Huoga snaps, annoyed. What are you scared of? Get in there, find the demon blade, and trash that punk, he orders his lackeys. You two, check the bedroom. Move it. Inside, the thugs search the room, calling out, nothing over here either. Trying to escape through the window, he is spotted by another thug outside. Hey, the kid's over here. And he's got the blade too. Gritting his teeth, feeling cornered, he grabs an alarm clock and hurls it behind him. Take this, you bastards. Without hesitation, he leaps straight out of the window. Rubbing his head in pain after being hit by the clock, one thug snarls, Ow, is that brat trying to kill himself by jumping? Huoga cracks his knuckles, yelling, Out of my way. He unleashes his signature move, the fiery purgatory fist. A colossal hand of flames manifests, triggering a massive explosion that tears through the building. The lackeys cough through the smoke. Cough, cough, Huoga, you think that kid got burnt to a crisp? There probably isn't even dust left of him. One of them points at the scorched wreckage. Look, Huoge, we're on the top floor. Even if he didn't burn to death, that fall definitely finished him off. Huoga smirks arrogantly. Well, my power wasn't half bad. Peering outside, he spots something unexpected. He spits out a curse, damn it, and barks at his crew. He's up on the rooftop. After him, now. Up on the spacious rooftop, Shakya collapses onto the concrete, gasping heavily for air. The Green Wolf Gang is completely out of control. Remembering that terrifying fiery punch, he mutters, Is that guy even human? At the same time, a voice replied, Whether I'm human or not, why don't you test it and see? He was startled and looked toward the direction of the voice. Hoajia mockingly sneered. You're pretty hard to kill, Kid Thick-Sa. Terrified, he tried to negotiate. Don't come any closer. We can work something out. You guys just want money, not my life, right? Hoajia smirked. I have no interest in money. The only thing I'm interested in is you. He backed up a few steps and stammered. B-boss, let's talk this over. He turned pale, clutching the demon blade. If you take another step, I won't hold back. Seeing the weapon right before his eyes lit up. Oh, he praised the powerful demon blade. So this is the demon blade. Magnificent. Thick-Sa broke out in a cold sweat. Demon blade. Oh my god, boss. This is just a game reward, even though it's first place. But his words went in one ear and out the other. Hoajia swung his fist again. Hellfire fist. Stop wasting my time, and instantly threw a punch that sent him flying yards away. His body slammed into the iron stairs behind him. Arg, it hurts. The fire from the punch set his shirt ablaze. It's on fire. Fortunately, he came up with a solution, the water tank. Water, perfect. Hoajia walked toward him step by step. Kid, if you don't show me what you've got, then die. He spoke as he sent his flames chasing after him. Pretty soon, I'll let you experience the power of the demon blade. Ha ha ha! Terrified, Thick-Sa scrambled up the ladder. Wait a minute. In a split second, he plunged into the water tank before the flames could catch up. From below, Hoajia sneered. Humph, pathetic. Couldn't even take one hit. His lackey pointed at the tank. Boss Hoajia, that kid fell into the water. He laughed contemptuously, leaving Thika no way out. Fish the blade out of there. You can do whatever you want with the kid. The lackeys chorused, Yes, boss Hoajia. Inside, Thixa coughed and choked on the water. Cough, cough. That was close. They stood on the edge of the tank. Hey kid, hand over the blade. The chase had been too easy for Hoajia, making him sigh. How boring. The lackeys on top continued to cheer. Stab him to death. Ha ha ha. Powerless. Thick-Cha slowly sank deeper into the water. The demon blade sank along with him. He struggled to hold on to his last shred of consciousness. I'm going to suffocate. I don't want to die. The familiar voice echoed again. Do you want to live? Then remember this magic circle. He tiredly opened his eyes. A magic circle? The magic circle from his dream suddenly appeared. This was the ancient book of elemental structure, as Lord Lucifer placed his hand on Thick-Cha's body to channel his power into him. The Lord's crest faintly glowed on his body, and that surge of power jolted him awake. He calmly pointed at a water bubble and traced a few lines in the water from left to right, top to bottom, followed by a horizontal swipe, an ultimate technique to create a sphere. It glowed in unison with the seal on his body. Following his martial movements, the water in the tank swirled up into a raging vortex. His eyes shone with crystal clarity, completely stripping away his previous weakness. Looking in and seeing no movement, the lackeys reported to their leader, Hoa Jia, "That little brat is probably history. He only cared about the demon blade," and shouted, "Get down there and fish the blade out." Suddenly, the ground shook. One of them panicked. "Huh? What's going on? Is it an earthquake?" The water tank vibrated continuously, sending ripples across the surface. They looked on in confusion. "Watch out. It sounds like something is coming from inside the water. No way he's still alive, right? What?" Before he could finish his sentence, a hand made of water dragged him in. The guy's eyes popped out in sheer terror, his veins bulging as he was dragged into the center of the water vortex. One of them witnessed it and gasped, "What on earth is that?" Screams of mercy erupted one after another. "Arg! Boss Hoa Jia! Oh my god! Boss Hoa Jia! Save me!" Hoa Jia only grew more excited. "Ha ha ha! Now this is what I call fun." A massive sphere of water erupted from the tank, soaring straight into the sky. Standing below, Hoa Jia provoked, "Bring it on, do you think I'm afraid of you?" Instantly, both techniques clashed as water and fire collided. Buckling under the overwhelming pressure, he groaned. Ugh. Thick Sa's oppression was so overwhelming that Hoa Jia couldn't help but curse. Bullcrap, it was as if he couldn't believe such power was coming from Thick Sa. No, there's no way, right? The Hellfire Fist had been utterly defeated. He was hit dead on by the water and sent flying yards back, breaking out in a heavy, cold sweat. He grew apprehensive. Is this a joke? How is this guy so powerful? Hoa Jia stood there like a defeated loser, surrounded by his lackeys. Even Thickshaw couldn't believe this newfound power. He looked down at his own body. The lackeys below saw him standing tall and cried out, "Look! Over there! That little brat is still alive." Thicksaw's voice turned cold and menacing. "You wanted to see what I've got?" He provoked them even further. "Get your asses off the ground and come at me." With that, he raised his hand, and the water instantly split, surging into the sky. The streams twisted and fused together, forming a giant hand of water. With a sharp, fierce glare, he bravely cursed them. "You pathetic bastards." With every water fist he threw, his words hit like a hammer. "Wasn't your fire punch supposed to be badass? Is the Green Wolf Gang really that big of a deal in the underworld? You scumbags went ahead and wrecked my house. Let me show you what it feels like to be completely ruined." Having finally unleashed his hidden power, he couldn't stop bragging. "Bring it on." The tables have turned. With his face beaten to a pulp, Hoa Jia begged for mercy. Wait, big bro, spare my life." But Tichka just screamed, "Lu Sun Rising Dragon Strike." But suddenly, the water stopped listening to him. It came crashing straight down onto his face. Tichka was completely bewildered. What is going on? Did I run out of juice? He clenched his fists, completely frustrated. Yeah, but there is no time to draw it again. What do I do? Seeing Tichka standing there like a statue, Hoa Jia thought, talk about luck, heaven is on my side. A smug smirk crept onto his face. It looks like this little brat still has no clue how to control his power. With a roar, he unleashed his flame prison fist once again. Tichka cursed under his breath. Crap, again? That is so cheap. The fire blasted him head on, making him scream in pure agony. Fierce flames completely engulfed his body. It was too hot, too hot. Having no other choice, he dived straight into the water tank. But Hoa Jia was not about to let him catch his breath. What do you think happens when fire meets water? Fully submerged in the tank, Tichzi opened his eyes, trying to sense everything around him. Bubbles started rising rapidly inside the tank. Ugh, the water temperature is shooting up out of nowhere. Standing outside, Hoa Jia continuously blasted the tank with his fire. Ha ha ha, I am going to boil you alive. Unable to withstand the extreme heat, the water tank suddenly sprang a leak. Hoa Jia looked on in shock as the tank began cracking open with massive holes, spraying water everywhere. Covered in flames, Hoa Jia scrambled to get away from the surging wave of water. Out of nowhere, Thui Man appeared right above him, covered in crackling lightning. He teased, oh dear, you actually missed." The water tank could not take it anymore and exploded into 100 pieces. The massive shockwave blew away Hoa Jia's henchmen, sending them falling right off the rooftop. Even Tichka was no exception, finding himself free-falling through the air. He suddenly opened his eyes in panic. Whoa, just then, Thuy-man swooped in like a savior and caught him mid-air. He whispered softly in Tichka's ear, "Ha, talk about perfect timing." With that, he held onto Tichka and prepared for a landing. Suddenly terrified, Tichka stammered, landing. What are you trying to do?" Thuy-man gave him a hard toss, sending him flying right back onto the rooftop. Up you go. Then he turned his attention to the falling henchmen. And now for these guys. He caught them one by one, moving so fast he looked like a bolt of lightning, leaving nothing but a yellow trail of light behind. He landed gracefully right next to a henchman who had passed out from pure terror, and that makes all of them. He pushed up his glasses, feeling incredibly satisfied with his achievement, completely ignoring Tichka and Hoajia's henchmen, who were busy puking their guts out. Tears streaming down his face, Tichka turned around and yelled, Who on earth are you?" Striking a cool pose, Thuy-man raised his index finger. "I am Thuy-man, captain of the special ops team from Long 2. He stared at Tichka and raised his voice. "Didn't I tell you to live a quiet life? Just look at the state you are in." He pointed a finger at Tichka, who stammered back. "Wait, are you one of those guys?" Watching them from a distance, Hoajia prayed to whatever gods were listening. "Oh crap, I am so dead." Thuy-man smirked as he looked over at Hoajia. "What a coincidence. I have actually been looking for you." Tichka was completely puzzled. "Huh? You guys know each other?" He replied. "Yep." Then he added, "He is a notorious class 2 wanted criminal in the Esper world, known as Hoajia. To think he would show up at your place." Hoajia's face turned pale. He spun around and spat back. "You lucky little brat. Consider yourself fortunate today." Tiche immediately pressed his advantage. "Oh yeah? If you are so tough, don't run away." Displeased, Thuy-man dashed forward like a blur. "Stay right there. I need to take care of this guy first." Tichka was dumbfounded. Is that speed even human? Hoajia spotted a door ahead and tried to make a break for it, but Thuy-man blocked his path instantly. "Where do you think you are going?" He cursed in anger as he unleashed his flame prison fist. "You are too fast. Damn it, I will take you down with me." But before his attack could even land, Thuy-man kicked him square in the face, leaving his nose bleeding and drool flying everywhere. He quickly gathered a ball of electricity in his hand, waiting for the guy to fall so he could deliver another beating. He looked up at him coldly. "Did you just say the wind is too loud?" With those words, he slammed the electric ball right into him, eliciting a blood-curdling scream. The man was blasted 30 feet away, causing a massive explosion. Meanwhile, Thuy-man remained completely unfazed, shrugged, and said, "I couldn't quite hear you." Tixai's eyes widened at the scene. Whoa, talk about a totally one-sided beatdown. Struggling to get back on his feet, Hoajia coughed. "Damn it." Gritting his teeth in anger, he growled, "How could I possibly fall in a place like this?" Tichka was shocked, never expecting the guy to stand back up. Suddenly, Hoajia charged straight at Thuy-man, screaming, "I will crush you." Thuy-man readied himself for the attack. Still trying to put up a fight? But to his surprise, Hoajia blew right past him, shouting, "Even if I die, I am taking you down with me." Dumbfounded, Thuy-man quickly turned around. What? Covered in raging flames, Hoajia was charging straight toward Tichka. Tichka braced himself and activated his ancient book of origin construction. Water quickly surged up and surrounded him as he pleaded, "Please, I am counting on you." Closing his eyes shut, he prayed, "Please work." And just like that, Hoajia suddenly froze in his tracks. His prayer had actually worked. He creates a water sphere to trap him. Inside, Lord Huo struggles, gasping, What is this?" Then, he tries to blast the sphere's walls with fire, but his own fire backfires, making him scream in agony. How is this possible? The fire is backfiring. It's too hot. Ah, no. Exhausted, Lord Huo collapses. Shijia lets out a sigh of relief. Whew, it worked. The water sphere bursts, and he hits the ground hard, knocked out cold. Out of breath, Shijia drops to his knees in exhaustion. It's finally over. Ruamon looks down at him. Looks like I didn't even need to step in. What's wrong? Can't even stand up? Summoning his last bit of strength, Shijia gasps. These people. And you. What on earth are you? But before he can get an answer, he passes out. Ruiman clicks his tongue. Tsk, how rude. He pulls out his phone and makes a call. Hey, rooftop of building 7, come clean up this mess. Down below Shijia's apartment, in a crowded apartment complex, Tauzi is the only one standing there, looking around in confusion. Is this really Shijia's place? She thinks back to what happened earlier. She remembers a handsome, glowing Shijia handing her a jacket for protection. Here, take this. You can wear it to block the wind if you don't mind. The wandering thoughts make her blush. It seems he has already found a place in her heart. The jacket is washed and clean. I have to return it to him in person. Suddenly, a gust of wind rushes by, kicking up a cloud of dust. It's a plane flying over, the strong draft whipping Taozi's hair all over her face. Taozi instinctively looks up. Meanwhile, at S City's food street, Shijia is in his uniform, working his part-time job. Come try our new items. Don't miss out, folks. He calls out until his throat is dry. Weird. Why are there so few people today? Actually, there hasn't been a single soul here from the start. Suddenly, a strange sound echoes, and a group of Huo's men marches toward him. We've been looking all over for you, kid, one of them threatens. You're not getting away this time. Today, we're settling all our scores, old and new. Shijia backs away in fear. Aren't you guys supposed to be? How is this possible? Suddenly, crimson lightning strikes from the sky, and red rain begins to pour down on him. His eyes widen in sheer confusion. I'm not seeing things. Why is this rain red? Just then, Shijia feels the demon blade in his hand. His uniform is gone. He stares at the demon blade, questioning himself. Is this that black blade? When did I even grab it? A bolt of lightning strikes the black blade, and whoosh! He slips and plummets into a bottomless pit. He sits up with a start, realizing it was just a dream. He clenches his hands in panic. No! Stay back! Ah! He pants heavily, gasping for air. Dazed, he rubs his head. Just a dream? Suddenly, a sharp pain shoots through him as his bones pop and crack. Shijia clutches his body in pain. Ugh! It hurts so bad. His face darkens, and he growls, "Damn it, where am I?" From across the room, Ruiman, who has been watching the whole time, smirks. Finally awake? Shijia stares at him, his eyes wide with surprise. His mind races with questions. Are we in the sky? Wait, am I dead? Aren't I supposed to be the main character? Ruiman winks. To be exact, you're on a plane, 30,000 meters above the ground. Shijia bursts into tears. A plane? So, I'm actually still alive? Wait, why am I even on a plane? Are you guys kidnappers or something? Ruiman spins his chair around, completely exasperated. Ha, what are you, a stand-up comedian? He adjusts his glasses, lets out a mischievous chuckle, and rolls his chair right up to him. Ruiman stops right in front of Shijia's face, making him break into a cold sweat. Then, Ruiman points to himself and says, "Listen up, Shijia, let me introduce myself. I'm with the Dragon Group, and I run the show for all the Espers in S City. But you, on the other hand," Shijia pouts in disbelief. "Man, you've read way too much high school manga, bro." Ruiman leans back, pointing directly at him. "I've been keeping tabs on you for a while now, kid." Hearing this, Shijia instinctively covers himself. Huh? Why are you stalking me? What's your angle? Ruiman sighs. Whether you want to admit it or not, I'm sure you've felt that massive power hidden deep inside you. Hearing this confirmation, Shijia freezes. Shivering in a cold sweat, he thinks, does he know about the little black blade? Ruiman carries on. That power is extremely dangerous. We need to investigate and get it under control. Fast. Panic-stricken. Shijia stammers. Wait a second. Ruiman holds up his index finger. Oh, and there's one more thing you might actually care about. Shijia grimaces as Ruiman's expression turns dead serious. We've fully examined your condition. He looks straight at Shijia. There's a bullet lodged right in your heart. To put it simply, you're practically on your deathbed. Shijia immediately snaps back. Hey, are you kidding me? But then, something clicks. Memories flash back in his mind, along with Lucifer's chilling voice. A mortal body is truly garbage. Your fragile vessel is about to collapse. He completely freezes. What? This isn't a nightmare? Am I really about to die? With a sharp snap of his fingers, Ruiman says confidently, which is why we're heading somewhere special right now. Once we pinpoint your psychic power, there'll definitely be a way to save your life. He gritted his teeth. But what if I'm not an Esper like you say? Ruiman clicked his tongue, saying, well, that depends on your situation. I'm afraid your body would already be cold by then. Saying that, he looked down at his watch. Huh? The watch screen read, entered target zone. Proceed with coordinate calibration? He leaned back in his seat with a smug grin, saying, we're almost there. Prepare for landing. Shike looked out the aircraft window. What is this? His face turned pale, unable to believe his eyes. The aircraft flew toward a deserted island in the middle of the ocean. Where on earth are we? Iksaik shoved his hands into his pockets as the automated announcement came through. Login protocol ready. He reached up to take off his necklace. Just to be safe, Shike slipped it into his pocket. Whoa, what's happening? The aircraft's voice announced again, coordinates calibrated, entering magnetic field. The sudden jolt of the plane made him slip, his face tilting at a 45-degree angle. Oh, Ruiman spotted it in a flash. He lunged forward to catch him like a falling phone and cheered. Thank goodness it didn't break. Completely ignoring Iksaik, who had fallen flat on his back behind him. Ooh, he gleefully took a photo, laughing. Ha ha ha, you look so ridiculous. Let me snap a picture. Iksaik was fuming. Mia stormed in from outside. Hey, what are you guys doing? What's with all the noise? She walked over to Saika. Ah, so you're the guy Ruiman picked up, right? I'm Mia, the mechanical expert for Longzhu. He blushed embarrassedly. Oh, hello. She pinched his cheek. Huh, that's weird. I can't feel it. I can't feel any spiritual energy on you. In disbelief, she turned to Ruiman. This is strange. Is this really the guy you were tracking? What? Are you absolutely sure he's an Esper? He immediately asserted, well, how should I put this? Even though I'm not completely sure, when this kid faced Lao Huo, he used a power that no ordinary human could ever pull off. The two of them gleefully plotted. So, our first move is to bring him to the island for some testing. In that case, we'll have to let Qianjin give him a thorough examination when we get there. Ignoring Zaike's protests, hey, could you guys not talk about me like I'm some kind of freak? Mia's expression turned serious as she said, lately, criminal cases in the Esper world have been spiking. Rumors about the end of the world are spreading everywhere too. We can't let this go on. Ruiman reassured her, exactly. There's an undercurrent in the Esper world, and someone is definitely trying to stir up trouble. They're always looking for an opportunity. But the mission of Longzhu is to protect the order of the Esper world. So don't worry. Then, reverting to his usual playful self, he added, and I'll always protect you too, junior sister. Fuming, she snapped. How many times have I told you before slamming him onto the floor? Don't call me junior sister. He definitely learned his lesson the hard way. Seeing this, Psyche asked out of concern, hey, are you okay? Lying flat on his back, he groaned, no, I'm fine. The aircraft's automated announcement started counting down. Control clearance approved. Initiating landing countdown. He was startled. What's this? Ruiman clutched his head and sat up. Not again. It's like this every single time. As the countdown reached 4, he scrambled up and yelled, hurry, get to your seats. She just activated the free fall landing mode. The countdown hit 3. Shike stood there cluelessly, thinking, I have no idea what they're talking about, but I've got a really bad feeling about this. Ruiman urged him frantically. Stop slacking off and hurry up, he replied. I'm trying. The countdown hit 2. He clumsily fumbled with his seatbelt. Crap, it's not buckling. From across the cabin, Ruiman yelled again. You idiot, buckle up. The countdown hit 1. Got it. Just as Iksaik managed to buckle his seatbelt, the countdown hit 0. In midair, the violent shaking of the aircraft suddenly ground to a halt. The countdown was over. The roar of the engines died down completely, leaving Iksaik in a state of panic. What's going on? An announcement blared through the speakers. Prepare for impact. Good luck, everyone. With that, the plane nosedived straight toward the ocean, seemingly free-falling through the air. The violent shaking knocked loose items flying all over the cabin, while Ruiman let out a couple of thrilled whoops, woohoo. Iksaik, on the other hand, felt like his life was flashing before his eyes. The intense air pressure pushed the ocean surface outward, creating a massive circular wake as vortexes of wind swirled around the descending aircraft. His eyes widened in absolute shock. You call this a landing? The aircraft plunged straight into the ocean, sinking deep into the silent abyss. Mia's voice crackled over the comms. Activate ballast tanks. The engines retracted, switching to underwater thrusters, while the dual sonar arrays on both sides activated simultaneously, preparing for deep-sea submersion. Psyche was in agony, foaming at the mouth, while Ruiman sat casually beside him, checking his watch. The display read 100, only 100 meters down. The vessel's automated voice announced, 200, 500, 1,000. Warning. External pressure is exceeding safety limits. Her expression darkened as she ordered, initiate secondary carbon nanofiber shielding. Keep descending. Slowly opening his eyes, Kike thought. The true deep ocean is so dark and cold, it's not beautiful at all. The aircraft system chimed. Current depth is 1,200 meters. He felt cold, so cold. Come to think of it, what Dowsey said was absolutely right. Raymond glanced over. You're awake? He reassured Shika. You really know how to pass out. We're almost there anyway. Mia was still piloting the aircraft. The docking point is ready. Preparing to assemble the cabin, the aircraft dived deep into the ocean's abyss, arriving at the target coordinates. Mia sat ready at the controls. Docking on the starboard side, assembling the aircraft. The cabin must be 100% assembled before we can start. Raymond nudged him from the side. Hey, get a grip. Focus. The aircraft will be there in just a bit. She announced indifferently. We've arrived. Shika was exhausted and just wanted to give up, but his nausea wouldn't let him. Yeah, go, run. Raymond yelled after him. Too late. Hey, that's not the door. He threw up everything into the trash can on the floor. Mia believed in his power even less now. He's already losing it over this? How could he possibly be an Esper? He let out a sigh of relief. Ah, I feel so much better. Raymond angrily dragged him along. If you're better, then let's go, ignoring his screams of, hey wait, stop, let go of me. The three of them arrived at a ship, and he watched in awe. Our destination is the bottom of the ocean? What is this? Raymond smirked proudly. Heh. He chased after Shika. Hey, don't run around. In response, Shika asked a clueless question. What is this thing? As he asked, he reached out and touched the demon skull. They bickered back and forth. You idiot, what are you pressing? I was trying to take a shortcut. I just thought it was a normal statue. The three of them stood before the skull. Raymond spoke up helplessly. Whatever, forget it. Since the Night Watch gate has already been activated, let's just do a test first. Shika looked up. This is a gate? Before he could finish his sentence, the skull grew into a giant form. Raymond clarified for him. This is the Night Watch gate. He cheerfully requested. Put your hand on it to take the test. Shika asked. Put my hand on it? Raising his hand, he said. Like this? A mysterious spiritual energy radiated from his hand. Shika wondered, what is this? This feeling is so bizarre. He could clearly feel the light flowing along his veins and into his body. It seemed to be scanning for something. Behind him, Raymond explained, if you're an Esper, the gate will open for you. Mia began to believe in his power. The Night Watch gate is responding. Is this kid really an Esper? Suddenly, something went wrong, making him gasp. Ugh. A flash of light burst before his eyes. Instantly, the gate slammed shut, and the blast of light blew him far away. Raymond gasped in shock. Holy crap. Shika cried out in pain. Hey, what kind of gate is this? It's clearly an electric fence. Mia teased him gleefully. Ha ha ha, he got rejected. Hey, handsome, you must have been mistaken about him. Hearing this, Raymond's face darkened. He thought to himself, that's weird. If he wasn't an Esper, the Night Watch gate would have rejected him right from the start. But it definitely reacted just now. The three of them stared helplessly at the gate. Mia volunteered, how about I give it a shot? Shika warned, careful, that shock really hurts. Raymond walked up to him and said, the Night Watch gate registers all visiting Espers. Naturally, only an Esper can make it open. Shika wanted to confirm, so since it shocked me, does that mean I'm not an Esper? Raymond brushed it off. Can't say for sure. It seems you need a more thorough evaluation. Shika wondered. An evaluation? Done. Mia's voice echoed from the other side. Inside the gate, a brilliant light shone. Welcome to Evernight Island. She urged them. Let's go, guys. Shika's eyes widened. Oh my god, am I dreaming? Raymond nudged him. Hurry up. All right, stop babbling and let's go. The three of them quickened their pace. But what Shika saw ahead left him completely speechless. Evernight Island appeared before him as an upside-down city. He trembled in confusion. An upside-down city at the bottom of the sea? This has got to be an illusion. What did you guys feed me on that aircraft? Raymond corrected his attitude. You're too noisy. That right there is our destination, Evernight Island. He stood there in disbelief, receiving judging looks from the two beside him. It's completely upside down. How are we even supposed to walk? Mia winked playfully. We go up from over there. She pointed toward a crowd of people and explained, the only designated mode of transportation on Evernight Island. From below, Shika's voice echoed, oh my god, you're not tricking me into riding a roller coaster, are you? Thousands of people were standing in line, a constant chatter filling the air. Shika whispered, are there really this many people living at the bottom of the ocean? Raymond replied indifferently. We're currently in the middle of the once every 3 years enrollment season. He listened to them talk, hearing nothing but foreigners chattering in different languages. His eyes filled with apprehension again. Enrollment? Is this place a school? The vehicle's speaker announced, Please take your seat and do not wander around. With the train about to leave, Shaka rushes over and stands next to a complete stranger. Phew, made it to the line just in time. Sitting next to the two of them feels exactly like riding a roller coaster. But wait, where the heck are the seatbelts? Suddenly, the vehicle shoots forward at lightning speed. Welcome to Evernight Island. The sudden surge of momentum throws him backward. Panicking, he grabs onto the scarf of the old man sitting in front of him. Whoops! The poor old guy starts choking, letting out a painful wheeze. Raymond can't stop him in time and barks, Let go of him right now. Meanwhile, Mia tries to calm him down. Don't panic, you won't fall out. Shaka quickly lets go, realizing he almost sent the old man straight to the afterlife. Raymond explains how the ride works. The cabin has its own artificial gravity. No matter how crazy the ride gets, you're perfectly safe. Then, he raises his voice threateningly. So if you act like a complete psycho again, I will personally throw you out of this car and let you fly. Got it? Shaka snaps back, refusing to back down. What? It's your fault for not telling me sooner. Their loud bickering immediately catches Simon's attention. Locking his eyes on Shaka, he wonders, who on earth is this guy? Shaka and the vehicle spin a full 360 degrees. The tracks shift, eventually aligning them with the inverted city. He gasps, This is amazing. Driven by curiosity, he quickly scoots over to the window seat. But then he freezes. Imagining a ridiculous scenario, he asks, Wait, does that mean I'm going to be hanging upside down too? Mia smiles at his curiosity and explains, The central energy core of Evernight Island generates a unique gravitational field that counters Earth's gravity. You won't feel upside down at all. He continues to marvel at it. Wow, this energy core is absolutely incredible. Raymond, totally used to this, scoffs. The core has always been a mystery. Word is, only the Lord of the Island himself has ever laid eyes on it. Shaka gasps, jumping in his seat. Wait, there's a Lord of the Island? To build a place like this, he must be insanely powerful. Raymond can't help but tease the clueless newbie. Ha, that old geezer is definitely built different. Very, very different. Shaka looks extremely uneasy. Man, they sure aren't holding back when talking about the big boss. He's usually completely unhinged and acts totally goofy. He's clearly a bit of an idiot, yet he thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. The Island Lord is a real oddball. Having heard their entire conversation, Mia can't hold back her fury anymore. A second later, the only sound left is the two of them getting beaten to a pulp. Shut your mouths! How dare you talk trash about him behind his back? With his face completely bruised, Raymond tries to butter her up. No, no. We would never. The sheer brilliance and cool-headedness of the esteemed dean are simply beyond my comprehension. I was just being short-sighted. Shaka, also holding his bruised face, whimpers. Wait, Dean? Rubbing his cheek, he asks, The Dean is the Island Lord? Just what kind of place is this Evernight Island anyway? Raymond groans and replies, This place, it's actually an academy. He goes on to explain that they only accept those with spiritual abilities. Spiritual abilities? Shaka repeats. Raymond continues. Yeah, people with special powers. Birds of a feather should flock together, right? The more he hears, the more uneasy he feels. But why build it deep underwater? Usually, only prisons are built at the bottom of the sea. He rests his chin on his hand, lost in thought. Thinking about it that way, this entire academy seems highly suspicious. Pushed to his limit, Raymond completely loses his patience. Kid, you're like a walking encyclopedia of questions. Why do you have so many damn problems? Shaka refuses to back down and yells right back. Am I wrong? Because I've got plenty more questions where that came from. Sitting a few rows back, Simon listens closely to their conversation. A mysterious glow ignites in his eyes. Well, who is this guy? Why is he so amusing? Turning to the person next to him, he commands, Look into that black-haired Asian kid. Get me his file. I want every detail. The woman next to him is Diana. She immediately sets the boundaries, saying, My prince? I'm your sponsor, not your servant. Simon smiles, playing on her curiosity. Oh, come on, Diana. Don't you want to know who made the cut for this year's freshman class? Because when I look at that guy, all I see is a thick fog. She raises an eyebrow, slightly intrigued. Oh? A freshman who can actually block the Eye of Horus? Simon gives her an annoyed look, but his gaze quickly shifts back to Shaka. Deep down, he knows whatever is hiding behind that fog is bound to be incredibly interesting. Diana smirks, tightening her grip on her whip. Is that so? Let me go drag him over here. Seeing her move, Simon quickly stops her. Don't be so reckless. As the train comes to a halt, an automated announcement plays. Please exit the vehicle in an orderly fashion. Raymond and his group step off. Welcome to Eternal Island. Shaka can't believe his eyes. Whoa, we're really at the bottom of the ocean? Then how is there a blue sky and white clouds up there? Shaking his head at the newbie's cluelessness, Raymond nudges him forward. It's just a simulated ecosystem. Genius. Come on, this way. Shaka looks around nervously. Raymond mutters, looks like we're taking the VIP route again. She doesn't want her old man, the dean, knowing she's arrived. Shaka's eyes widen as it clicks. Ah, so being the Lord's daughter comes with major perks. Raymond smirks, a playful gleam flashing in his eyes. Perks, you say? Oh, you haven't seen anything yet. Waiting in line takes way too long. If we're going, we're definitely taking the VIP route, Diana said, as she handed Simon a stack of documents. Here's all the info on the new students. But as he looked through them, he felt like something was off. Something was very strange. He continued, that guy isn't part of this year's freshman class. Flipping the page, a smirk played on his lips as he thought to himself, I have a feeling we'll be running into each other real soon. The scene cuts to a forest, where Shaka stares with dead, lifeless eyes. What do you mean VIP route? Hanging on for dear life like this is just scaling a wall. Down below, Raymond could only smirk. Shut up and follow me, he ordered. Shaka could only grumble in anger. Raymond, you absolute liar. Thud, he crashed face first onto the ground. Ouch, he cried, clutching his head in agony. That hurt. Hey, if we get caught climbing the wall, aren't we going to be in deep trouble? Shaka asked, worried. Raymond placed a finger over his lips, shushing him. The whole point of a VIP route is not getting caught. Shh. Suddenly, Raymond sensed something was off. Don't you think it's a little too quiet around here? With a swift kick, he sent Shaka rolling across the dirt. Bewildered, Shaka blurted out, Ow, what the hell did you kick me for? Just in time, a bullet whizzed right past his head. Raymond shouted urgently, Don't just stand there, run. Struggling to keep up, tears welled in Shaka's eyes. I almost died. Why on earth did you bring me to this god-forsaken place? Raymond completely ignored him. Shh, they're coming. Confused, Shaka gasped. They? Who's they? A group of fully masked armed soldiers pointed their weapons at them. Targets acquired. Position locked. Radioing in their next move, they reported, Targets have vanished. Search the area thoroughly. Roger that. Unaccustomed to such extreme situations, Shaka panted heavily. Are you seriously telling me you brought me here to get treated? His face turned pale as a sheet. This feels more like a death sentence. Meanwhile, Raymond slipped behind a massive tree, scanned the area, and slumped down with a heavy sigh. Don't sweat it. This is a restricted zone, and they don't allow outsiders, so they're just overreacting a bit. Shaka couldn't believe his ears, stammering. Restricted? Raymond quickly warned. Shh, keep it down. Crouching behind the bushes, Raymond asked in a hushed tone. Can you see how many of them there are? At least 2 at 11 o'clock, and there's probably more at 12 and 1 o'clock, Shaka whispered back. Raymond looked impressed. Whoa, look at you with that 20/20 vision. Smirking, Shaka boasted. No kidding. I'm the #1 PUBG player, you know. He didn't miss the chance to tease. Oh wait, I forgot. You're always stuck in second place. Just then, Instructor Coburn yelled from the roof of a nearby building. Intruders spotted. Looking through her binoculars, she let out a cold smirk. You have nowhere to run. Surrender now. Suddenly, the sound of rushing footsteps closed in. The armed guards gestured to each other they had found their location. Move in. Secure the targets. Watching them charge, Shaka panicked. They're coming this way. Holy crap, are those real guns? Can we please fall back? Raymond sighed at Shaka's sheer cowardice. Are you good for literally anything? There are snipers on the roof. Trying to climb back over that wall now is basically suicide. What the heck are you doing? Raymond asked, staring in disbelief. Shaka was busy stripping off his white shirt to use as a makeshift white flag. At a time like this, survival was all that mattered. Even Raymond couldn't believe his eyes, facepalming in utter disbelief. Gritting his teeth, Raymond quickly snapped back into his battle stance. No need for that. These guys are lightweight. Give me 3 seconds, he said, darting forward like a bullet. He left Shaka half naked, still struggling to get his shirt off. Meanwhile, the guards raised their weapons, chambering rounds, ready to pull the triggers, and open fire. In the blink of an eye, the 3-second countdown began. 1. Raymond snatched the rifle clean out of a guard's hands. 2. He delivered a brutal punch that shattered another guard's jaw. Leaping into the air, he wound up a devastating kick, slamming it right into a guard's face before the guy could even react. 3. He sent the last guard flying yards away. With the first wave completely wiped out, Instructor Coburn barked from above, Team B, move in and attack. Roger that, they barked, instantly locking their sights onto Raymond. Feeling the heat, Raymond glanced over. Huh? Moving like a streak of lightning, he effortlessly danced through the hail of bullets. Ha! You really think this is enough to slow me down? He kept sprinting, pushing his limits to outrun the gunfire. A sudden flash of light left the guards utterly dazed. They stared at the empty space in front of them, shouting, "Wait, where'd he go?" But in a split second, Raymond was already standing right behind them. Hey there. A smug grin spread across his face as he locked his eyes on his next 2 targets. Meanwhile, Shaka remained huddled behind the bushes, trembling like a leaf. Panicked, the guards scrambled to warn each other. He's behind us. Shoot. Take him down. Now. Shaka shrank back behind a tree, pleading, "Whoa, watch the friendly fire." Trembling with fear, he couldn't help but realize he vastly preferred playing this on a screen. Holy crap, I've played a ton of PUBG, but this real-life stuff is insane. Poking his head out, he suddenly realized something. Wait, why did the gunfire stop? There stood Raymond, calmly wiping the sweat from his brow. He let out a relaxed sigh. Phew, piece of cake. At Raymond's feet lay the entire squad of guards, groaning in pain. Shaka's jaw dropped in sheer awe. Unbelievable. He took down the whole squad by himself. But then, a cold realization hit Shaka. Wait a second. I thought he said there was a sniper on the roof. If we try to climb out, we're basically sitting ducks. Before he could even finish his thought, he took off like a shot. Up on the rooftop, after warning the others to stay sharp, Ruimon stood out in the open. He suddenly frowned, as if he'd just spotted something. Bang! A bullet whipped through the air, forcing him to dodge backward. Panic-stricken, Chiga rushed out to help, screaming, "Ruman!" But Ruiman lay there motionless as Chiga desperately shook him, crying, "Damn it! Don't you dare die on me." Meanwhile, the sniper confidently reported, "Target down." But Master Caban questioned it. Huh? She peered through her binoculars to confirm. Knowing her opponent all too well, she snapped at the sniper. "You idiot! It's never that easy." She barked, "Reconfirm the target," and the sniper quickly looked back through his scope. To his utter shock, the spot was empty. The kid, he was completely gone. In reality, just seconds earlier, Chige had warned him about the sniper. Ruimon had already calculated the bullet's path. Leaning back, he let the round graze past him, completely out of the sniper's line of sight. Using the momentum to fake a dramatic fall, he lay on the ground like a seasoned actor and smirked. Hey, back in the present, the sniper was frantically searching, but there was still no sign of him. He panned his rifle from the rooftop to the ground below, but the area was dead quiet. Damn it! Where the hell did he go? He was positive he'd hit him. Suddenly, Ruiman popped up right in his scope, making the sniper gasp. Found you! Yo! Ruimon waved cheerfully like an old friend. But beneath that bright grin, he was already holding a live grenade. With a sly chuckle, he tossed the grenade into the air, calling out, "A little gift for you." He kicked it like a soccer ball, launching it straight toward Master Caban. Sensing the danger, she gasped, "Shoot the target." "Quick! On it!" the sniper barked, firing a supersonic round. The bullet collided with the grenade mid-air. Boom! A massive blast erupted, the shockwave knocking both Master Caban and the sniper back. Ruimon watched with a smug grin. Up on the roof, thick white smoke engulfed them as they coughed violently. Cough! Cough! Damn it! It's tear gas! Amused, Ruimon smirked. But then, he sensed something plunging down from above. Not bad. Master Caban leaped down with pure murderous intent, her fist crackling with raw lightning. Got you now, Ruimon. He grinned, challenging her. Come on, show me some new tricks. Gnashing her teeth in fury, she slammed her fists together to unleash her ultimate move. Eat this. Thunder gloves. Her hair literally stood on end from the massive energy. The devastating surge of energy blasted toward Ruimon. Unfazed, he retaliated by slamming his hands onto the ground. discharging his own crackling bolts of lightning. Eager for the fight, Ruiman smirked. Moving at supersonic speed, he flipped and zipped around, dodging every single strike from her thunder gloves. Ruiman lunged forward, laughing. "Ha-ha, I'm still faster." Master Kaban gritted her teeth, roaring, "You little brat." She charged right back at him, shouting, "You dare face me head-on?" Just as they were about to clash, she unleashed a blinding burst of light, but Ruiman had already leaped right over her head. Whoosh! He plummeted back down, channeling every ounce of his power into his leg. Master Kaban blocked the kick with her gauntlets, grinning in approval. "Kid, you've gotten faster again." Ruiman humbly replied, "I'm still a long way from your level, Master Kaban." Chi-Jae, who had been watching this entire time, stammered, Is this a real fight?" Meanwhile, Ruiman stood before her and asked, "Well, shall we call it a draw, Master Kaban?" Chiga blinked in confusion. Master?" Instantly, Kaban's hostile vibe vanished. She lunged forward with open arms, squealing, "I missed you so much, you little trespasser." She squeezed Ruiman so hard, he literally choked up blood. "Bring it in for a passionate hug." His eyes rolled back in sheer agony as he wheezed, Let me go." Chija went pale, watching Ruiman get absolutely crushed. I think he's actually dying." "Did you just realize that?" She finally tossed Ruiman aside and burst out laughing. "A draw? Oh, I'm definitely not satisfied with that. Next time, I'm absolutely catching this master trespasser." She then barked at her squad. "All right, stop playing dead, you lot." Feeling completely played, Chiga stammered, Wait a minute. So, everything that just happened was fake?" Master Kaban replied with a straight face. "Of course not." Ruiman added, "This is a restricted zone on the island. Security here is top tier. The grunts only use riot tranquilizer guns, but that sniper rifle was a Barrett M95 loaded with live rounds." Master Kaban chimed in cheerfully, "Yep, Chija was the only one losing his mind, screaming, 'So we almost got freaking killed.'" She pointed right at him and laughed. "Ha ha, exactly. Oh, by the way, Ruiman, who is this kid?" Ruiman teased, "Well, you're the only one on the island who doesn't know." He leaned down and whispered directly into her ear. Chiga watched them, highly annoyed, his mind spinning with complex equations trying to decipher what they were whispering about. Master Kaban let out a booming laugh. "Oh, so that's how it is. Ha ha ha." Fired up to take on a new student, she turned to him. "Hey kid, do you want to come to Evernight Island and become a true scion? I'll train you personally." Chiga stared in disbelief, asking, "Wait, I can actually do that?" Soon, the three of them walked down the corridor of the medical department toward the testing room. Chiga and Kaban were chatting and laughing like they'd been close teacher and student for years. "Do I really have a shot at gaining superpowers?" "Of course, but we have to wait for your test results first." "So, Master Kaban, is your power really lightning? That's so freaking cool." "Ha ha ha, you sure have good taste." Chiga then asked curiously, "But wait, are there any really weird superpowers out there?" Kaban replied, "Well, that depends on which angle you're looking at." He stared blankly at what was in front of him. "Oh, we're here? But I haven't even asked yet." Annoyed, Ruiman raised her leg and kicked him square in the back. "How do you have so many damn questions? Just go get your checkup already." He flew forward in pain. With that, she slammed the door shut, leaving him all by himself. "But I don't even know what I'm supposed to be testing." He felt suspicious, feeling like there was something seriously off about this place. Shaka stood completely alone in the middle of a deserted lab. He yelled out, Hello? Is anyone here? I'm here for my checkup." Suddenly, a floating orb appeared out of nowhere. "Lie down." He jumped in fright. "Whoa, what the heck is that?" But once he calmed down, he couldn't help but marvel. "Man, this is incredibly high-tech." Sitting on the X-ray machine, he wondered, "Wait, so I just lie down and it takes the scan?" The orb announced, "No record found." "Are you not a student of Evernight Island?" He sheepishly replied. "No, Ruiman brought me here," she said. Before Shaka could finish, the orb commanded, "Lie still," creating a new profile. Booting up, the scan initiated, analyzing his body step by step. The orb reported, "Oh, ruptured aorta, but vital signs are normal. Unidentified energy detected near the heart. Faint spiritual force field." Hearing about his vital signs, he suddenly flinched. The orb commanded, "Do not move," preparing for spiritual analysis. Behind the monitor, Qianjin kept clicking, but every attempt failed. The analysis showed an error. Rebooting. Retrying. But it still failed. Unable to scan the patient's spiritual energy, she found it bizarre. When everything suddenly went dead quiet, he asked in confusion, "Huh? Why did it go silent all of a sudden?" Tianjin slowly walked up to him. "Your destroyed heart is wrapped in a massive burst of spiritual energy, keeping you alive, but your actual spiritual energy level is 0. This makes absolutely no scientific sense." In complete disbelief, Tianjin asked, What on earth happened to you?" Startled, he stammered, "What? How did someone just pop out of nowhere without making a single sound?" "Suspicious," he asked again. "Wait, are you even human?" Tianjin's face darkened as she glared at him. She introduced herself through the orb. "I am Tianjin, director of the medical department." Shivering at his results, he asked, "A director is basically a doctor, right?" "I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch what you just said. Could you explain it to me in more detail?" "To put it simply, you're being protected by a special kind of energy." Then, she delivered the final blow. "Once it fades, you die." He cried out in despair. "Wait, what? Doctor, then what do I do now?" Unbothered, Tianjin handed him a body donation form and said, "You can start by signing this body donation agreement." Feeling completely helpless about his own life, he yelled at the top of his lungs, "Hey, you can't just play around with someone's life like this." Holding the form, he complained, "How can you just tell someone to give up on living like it's nothing?" He read down to the very last line. Recommended treatment. Body donation. Then he pleaded, "At least try to treat me first." But Tianjin brushed him off. "My diagnosis is very clear." Hearing her words, he thought to himself, a diagnosis of 0 spiritual energy and the presence of an unidentified energy. Could that dark attribute guy have done something to me? Tianjin coldly advised him, "Stop struggling." Ignoring his sheer panic, she demanded, "Just sign here and dedicate your body to science." He threw the paper aside. "No way, I'm not signing that. I was perfectly healthy before this," Tianjin explained wearily. "From a medical standpoint, a living person like you is just a corpse that hasn't died yet." He protested, "I feel completely fine. I can still be saved, look." Right as he said that, he violently coughed up blood. Cough, cough, cough. Shivering, he tried to change the subject. Anyway, there's no way I'm believing this diagnosis." Tianjin frowned and pursed her lips in anger, which only made him tease her further. "Besides, you totally look like a minor. All right, stop playing director and bring out the real doctor." No sooner had he finished speaking than a test tube came flying right at him. Annoyed by his existence, she snapped, "I am your primary attending physician, but if you don't believe me, that's fine." She added bitterly, "Suit yourself. Keep living as a walking corpse then." Knowing he had absolutely no other choice, she continued, "The moment you leave Evernight Island, that energy protecting you will eventually dissipate due to a lack of spiritual power." Shocked, Shaka gasped. "What?" Tianjin's face darkened completely. "Your body will be mine sooner or later." Meanwhile, out in the hallway, a loud, chaotic noise echoed. "Wait, what? Spiritual energy value. 0. The medical department recommends body donation." Master Kaban stared angrily at the test results. "Well, they've even got the body donation agreement ready." "Looks like you're not long for this world," he interrupted. Actually, I want to." A voice suddenly called out his name, "Shaka." He turned toward the sound. "Ruiman?" Ruman announced with a gloomy face. "I just got word from Mia. There's a sudden incident in S City." Wide-eyed, the master asked, "Is it serious?" He frowned and asked, "An A rank?" The teacher rested her chin on her hand and muttered, "Well, that makes things really tricky." Chije's head was spinning with endless questions. "So what do we do?" Raymond didn't waste words and said, "Bottom line, we need to return to the Dragon Division right away. We will deal with the situation first, then we will give you our final decision. Given your current situation, I'm taking you to the Dragon Division to keep you under control." Chige gritted his teeth and protested, "Hold on, Raymond. I want to stay here." A chorus of shock echoed through the spacious room. "Huh?" Standing right in front of Chige, Raymond asked in utter confusion, "You're saying you want to stay on Evernight Island? What is your reason?" Chige grumbled crossly, "You keep dragging me back and forth. I'm not a piece of luggage." This left Raymond even more bewildered. Frowning, he repeated, "Huh?" Chige fell silent, looking deep in thought, as if something was weighing on his mind. "Isn't it great here?" Besides, he thought to himself, If I leave Evernight Island, I'll probably end up dead. Raymond thought Chiga was just joking and scoffed. Stop playing around. Your spiritual energy level is literally 0. Even the teacher's eyes went wide. He tried to reason with them. But back on the rooftop, I clearly used my powers, didn't I? The diagnosis only proves I don't have spiritual energy right now, but it doesn't mean I don't have the potential, right? Finding his words somewhat convincing, Raymond pondered, let me think about it. Fine. I won't drag you away this time. Hearing this, Chiga cheered up. Yes, exactly. Raymond raised his index finger to set a condition. But if you want to stay on Evernight Island, you'll have to earn your admission through your own sheer ability. Kaben rubbed her chin, recalling past disasters like exploding bombs and raging tsunamis. The Evernight Island entrance exam is incredibly brutal and ruthless. She sugarcoated it a bit so she wouldn't crush Chige's morale, but the mental image of countless people fleeing from giant boulders raining down from the sky was still vivid. She massaged her temples helplessly. Even though you show some traits of a spiritual energy user, you still won't pass if your energy level is 0. Chi-Ji argued back, you don't know that for sure. Bottom line is, I'm willing to give it a shot. As the two of them stared at him, he flashed a confident smile and declared, for something deemed impossible, if we don't try, he continued. How would we ever know? His bold attitude piqued their interest. Ooh, at the Evernight Island Academy, the campus was massive, featuring buildings of all kinds of architectural styles. Kevin skipped ahead, happily humming, la la la, let's go register. Meanwhile, Chiga walked beside her, unusually quiet. Slowly falling behind, he let out a quiet sigh and wondered, did I get a little too carried away back there? Just a moment ago, he had stood in front of those two, raising his voice with absolute certainty. I will earn my admission through my own sheer ability and stay on Evernight Island. But then, Chiga had asked, what if I fail? Raymond had finished his sentence. Then I'll take you to the Dragon Division to keep you under control. Chiga panicked. What are you doing? But Raymond just raised his hand cheerfully and signaled, bring it in. Raymond slapped Chi-Ji's hand so hard it stung. Then it's a deal. He walked away, waving his hand over his shoulder. Good luck, Chi-Ji. Tears welled up in his eyes as he blew on his hand. Ow, that hurts so bad. Clutching his smoking hand, he still tried to act tough. Don't worry. In Chi-Ji's dictionary, there's no such thing as giving up. Keban's eyes turned into sparkling stars as she gushed. Now, that's what I call super confident. Back to reality, the street echoed with Keban's cheerful singing, la 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 la, let's go register, let's go register. Chi-Ji shoved his hands into his pockets and asked, Teacher Keban, you seem to be in an exceptionally good mood. She immediately beamed. Of course I am. She smiled warmly. As your teacher, I really admire the determination you showed back there. His face went pale as guilt washed over him, and he stammered, thanks, Teacher Keban. But deep down, he was screaming, I'm totally doomed. I definitely bit off more than I can chew. Chiga looked around, then asked curiously, Hey, what's that place ahead? It looks absolutely spectacular. Keban introduced, That's the main academy building. Word has it that after the dean visited a school campus in China, he gave it a weird name. I think it's called the Crane Tower. He couldn't help but burst out laughing. What is that round thing? Is it the academy's mascot? Keban looked in his direction, completely puzzled. Huh? There is nothing round over there. That building is clearly triangular. Embarrassed, he quickly corrected himself. No, I didn't mean that. Right in front of them, a virtual screen was projecting the image of a short, middle-aged man with a beard. She realized, oh, that's a 3D hologram of the dean. I heard it cost $30 million. Chiga was completely speechless. He feigned awe, but his expression was purely mocking. Well, your dean is certainly an expensive man. Suddenly, he wasn't paying attention and bumped into someone. Ouch. Keban glanced over. It was a boy with a buzz cut wearing glasses. He was levitating a book in midair, looking highly intellectual. The student greeted, Teacher Keban. My apologies. I was deeply engrossed in my studies. Keep your eyes on the road. Safety first. A long-haired guy next to him waved and said, Oh, hey, are you bringing in a newbie, Professor? She replied, I'm on my way to sign in, so I'll take my leave now. As she walked away, she turned back and gave them a thumbs up to cheer them on. Study hard and don't slack off. Sakya wondered, Are they all students of Evernight Island? Carbon replied, That's right. Once you pass your admission test, you'll be one too. Suddenly, a loud shout cut them off. Woohoo! Out of the way. From a distance, something resembling a ball was rolling toward them at high speed, kicking up a massive cloud of dust in its wake. Everyone scrambled to get out of the way. Sakya was utterly confused. Huh? As it rolled past a group of girls, the wind blew their skirts right up. Clutching their dresses down, they shrieked, "Ah! Zhujiang, you total creep." A guy with a buzz cut had his book blown away by the wind. "Hey, my book!" A flexible guy bent his back into a perfect circle, easily dodging it, and bend. Carbon immediately stepped in front of it and yelled out a warning. "How dare you use your powers to break the rules right in front of a teacher? Do you not want to graduate?" Sakya wasn't quite as tough. The gust of wind knocked him off his feet. "Whoa, whoa, whoa." She blocked it with both hands, shouting, "Stop right there." She lifted it up as electrical sparks crackled. It frantically pleaded, I'm sorry. Professor Carbon, spare my life." On the ground lay a charred, chubby guy with a bald head that was still smoking. A gloating voice chimed in, "Classic Zhujiang, serves him right. He always has to show off." Sakya looked on, a bit worried. Is he going to be okay? The guy was getting trampled by two others who took the chance to vent their anger. "He almost ruined my archives too." "Stomp him." Carbon laughed it off casually. Don't worry. Someone will come clean him up in a bit." They kept walking. Suddenly she gasped. "Oh no, we're doomed." He asked, "What's wrong?" She scratched her head playfully and stuck her tongue out. "Registration time is already over." He panicked instantly. "Wait, what? Then what am I supposed to do?" She shook her head, acting completely helpless. Just then, someone stepped up behind them with a soft click. It was a handsome young man who offered a friendly smile. "Excuse me, do you two need some help?" Carbon blushed and squealed. "Oh my, the freshmen this year are so incredibly handsome," Sakya agreed. "Yeah, but who are you?" The glow of twilight washed over the academy's sky. A voice suddenly asked, "Are you a freshman this year?" He smiled, and the atmosphere around him seemed to turn a rosy pink. "Hello, Professor. I'm Simon F. Gruber. It seems like you guys have run into some trouble?" Carbon, still in a cheerful mood, replied, "It's nothing, really. This kid just missed the registration deadline, that's all." Sakya glared at her. "And you're actually laughing about it." Simon replied, "Ah, I see." He informed them regretfully. "Then it looks like you won't be able to get into the dorms tonight." Sakya gasped in shock. "Wait, seriously?" He turned back to Carbon, pointing at himself. "Hey, Professor, don't act so calm. What am I supposed to do now?" She innocently suggested. "Haha. Anyway, leave the registration to me. If we can't get it done today, maybe go find a park bench that looks comfortable." Sakya's eyes went wide. "What?" Simon raised two fingers and suggested, "If you don't mind, my dorm has 2 rooms. No need to worry." Before everything was even resolved, Carbon decisively turned around and left. "Well, this teacher is heading out." Seeing that he had a place to stay tonight, Sakya quickly bowed 90 degrees, completely oblivious. "Thank you so much." He smiled warmly. "Haha, let me lead the way then." As they walked together, he asked curiously, "Hey Simon, what exactly is this thing called spirit energy anyway?" He was surprised. "Oh? You don't know what spirit energy is?" Stroking his chin, he explained, "Well, spirit energy is actually one of the 2 great principles of this world. 4 patterns with 4 different colors represent earth, fire, water, and wood. No matter how the world changes, elements and power are eternal. Elements build the world, and the power that controls them is spirit energy." Sakya recalled the dark figure in his dream, who had said similar things, though he never mentioned that the power to control elements was called spirit energy. Simon concluded, "You could say it's a gift from the gods." He was surprised. "Huh? What does it have to do with the gods?" He explained, "Word has it that humans didn't have spirit energy in the beginning. Those scattered beams of light falling from the sky were actually remnants of the gods falling to the mortal realm after their death. Only those with the mark on their bodies could possess spirit energy. That light merged with humans, and every spirit user has a chance to unlock the divine mark, receiving the full power passed down by the gods. As the mark gradually appears on their body, they become a spirit master. Their abilities become several times, or even hundreds of times, stronger than when they were just a regular spirit user. Among countless people with various abilities, the powerful spirit masters stand at the absolute peak of the human pyramid. They look down on the world with pride and disdain, controlling the destiny of the world. Sakya excitedly imagined, That means they can do absolutely anything. That's so awesome. If only I could become a spirit master. Simon felt helpless at his reaction. Tika suddenly asked, "Oh, by the way, what's your spiritual power?" Simon's eyes lit up, turning purple. "Me? It's basically just night vision." Simon scrutinized him, knowing that anyone who made it to this exam was definitely no ordinary person. "Right, Tika?" Tika grew flustered. "Ah, yeah, right." He turned his head away to avoid eye contact, walking as stiffly as a robot as he tried to change the subject. "I wonder what the exam will even be about." Simon replied, "Well, tomorrow is the ability ranking evaluation, and the next 2 days will be the limit test and the written exam." Tika clutched his chest, feeling like coughing up blood. "An ability evaluation? Does that mean they're testing our spiritual power? I'm so dead, I'm so dead." Inside room 2083, his jaw dropped as he gasped. "Whoa, why are the dorms on Evernight Island so luxurious? Being a spiritualist is seriously the best." Simon, however, didn't seem to share his enthusiasm, laughing, "Haha, yeah, it's decent enough." Grabbing 2 anime body pillows with both hands, Tika squealed with joy. "They actually have these here, the official Julie and Captain pillow set." Standing by the doorway, Simon felt extremely awkward. Haha. "Do you actually like those?" "You can have them if you want." Tika blushed in embarrassment. "Huh? But this is a limited edition. Are you really sure?" Simon waved his hands dismissively. "Don't worry about it, it's fine." In reality, Simon was breaking out in a cold sweat. How did these even get here? Did Instructor Diana prepare them? He said goodbye. "Well, you should get some rest. See you tomorrow." Tika cheered happily. "Thank you. Sorry for bothering you tonight." He closed the door, still humming a cheerful tune. Simon glanced back through the crack of the door. Even the eye of Horus couldn't see through this kid. As the door finally shut completely, Simon muttered, "Just don't disappoint me." Meanwhile, Tika flopped onto his bed. Ugh. He rested his hands behind his head and groaned, "I'm absolutely exhausted." Tika sighed, thinking about the ranking evaluation tomorrow. Right then, a dark shadow rose from beneath him. Sensing something was off, Tika looked up, his heart skipping a beat as the dark figure suddenly materialized. Lucifer said arrogantly, "Foolish human." The Lord pulled up his hood. "It is I." Tika froze. "You?" Realizing who it was, he asked in surprise. "Wait, why are you here?" Lucifer explained. "I am always with you." Still confused, Tika asked, "Lord Lucifer, who on earth are you? And what do you want with me?" Standing right in front of him, the Lord said coldly, "I am you, and you are me. You will understand when the time is right." Tika quickly raised his hand. "This crest, and this power flowing inside my body. Did you do this to me?" Lucifer denied it. "It was not I. It was your own choice." Tika was dumbfounded. "My choice?" The Lord recalled when Tika lay helplessly on the ground. "In your subconscious mind, you begged me to save you. Have you already forgotten?" Back then, the Lord had appeared and channeled something into his body, and back on the rooftop, it was because you wanted to live that you accepted my power, activating the Origin Reconstruction Grimoire. A crimson aura swirled inside the Lord's palm. "Now that it has turned into a crest, you and I shall coexist in this world," Tika interrupted. "Wait a second. Wasn't this originally a dagger?" The aura gradually took the shape of a dagger. The Lord remained silent, not expecting Tika to be so sharp. Lucifer said, "The true sharpness of the Godslayer blade is something you cannot witness just yet." Tika praised, "Wow, that name sounds awesome." He scratched his head in confusion. "Okay, let's just say I begged you to turn me into this, but what about now?" Frowning, Tika tried to confirm. "Am I considered a spiritualist now?" The Lord looked annoyed. "To think you would get hung up on such a pointless question. Let me ask you, what exactly is a spiritualist?" Tika stroked his chin, recalling Carbon's explanation. Someone who bears a divine crest, possesses spiritual power, and can manipulate the elements." Lucifer coaxed, "With my crest and the heavenly magic array, the Origin Reconstruction Grimoire can manipulate infinite elements, as long as you are willing." The Lord painted an incredibly alluring picture that anyone would fall for. "You will become the greatest spiritualist to ever exist." Tika jumped up in excitement, naively declaring, "Oh yeah, by using the Origin Reconstruction Grimoire to control elements. It won't even matter if I don't have any spiritual power of my own." Instantly enraged, the Lord struck him with a bolt of lightning so intense it showed his skeleton. Fool! Clad in smoke and utterly battered, Tika lay on the ground, shivering. Lucifer warned, "Do not be so careless. The Origin Reconstruction Grimoire can open the gates to the spiritual world for you, but it cannot keep you safe." The Lord crushed his confidence, continuing, "Those who covet it can still crush you with ease." Tika struggled to lift his head, complaining, "Then what am I supposed to do?" As images of a normal person's grueling journey flashed by, the Lord said, "By doing it the most foolish and stubborn way humans do, train and fight." Tika listened intently. "As your own strength grows, you will slowly unlock the true power of the Origin Reconstruction Grimoire." He hung his head in despair, feeling incredibly anxious. "That's easy for you to say, but my spiritual power is literally zero, and the exam is tomorrow. Failing this test means being kicked off Evernight Island." Suddenly, a clever idea popped into his head. He glided closer to Lucifer and whispered, "Listen, Almighty One, the director is going to read your mind tomorrow." He immediately shut it down. "Absolutely not." Shaka struck a delicate pose, pretending to be weak and tearing up like a spoiled schoolgirl. "Aw, you didn't even think about it before turning me down. That is so unfair." Lucifer shuddered and yelled, "I am not helping you cheat," before floating up and slowly vanishing. "Remember, guard my secret and tell no one." The figure dissolved, leaving behind only half his face. Otherwise, disaster will strike. In Zurich, Switzerland, rows of luxury villas stood close together, brightly lit against the dark night. Through a glass window, a girl could be seen soaking in a tub. Hearing something that shocked her, she stood up abruptly and demanded, "What did you just say?" Her sheer rage shattered the glass window. Pedestrians down below looked up in shock. Her voice boomed, "Shut up. Notify the National Intelligence Center. Find him for me." Determination flashed in Mary's eyes. "I won't let you slip out of my sight, Shaka." Zurich. Jushin Mingdao Secret Surveillance Center. On a radar screen displaying a live search, a voice ordered, "Expand the search radius to the Pan-Asian region and lock down the network." The commander standing behind them muttered in confusion, "How could a person just vanish into thin air?" His sweat-drenched subordinate frantically complied while the commander barked, "We must find him before Lady Mary completely loses her mind." Inside the massive operation room, countless agents were working around the clock. They kept reporting their screening results. "Southeast Asia is clear. Initiating second sweep." "Chief, the search area in the Pan-Asian region is just too vast. It is impossible to cover in such a short time." Just then, a voice chilled them from behind. "Have you found him yet?" He gasped in shock. The chief turned around, his face turning pale as he stammered, Lady Mary. What brings you here in person?" She gave a dark, threatening smile. "If you don't find Shaka, not a single one of you will survive this." The chief panicked. "Please, please, please, forgive us. We are doing everything we can." He then hurriedly announced, "Lady Mary, we have a lead. It looks like the target was taken by China's Dragon Division." She fell into a thoughtful silence before asking in surprise, "The Dragon Division? They must have mistaken Shaka for an ordinary psychic." She ordered, "Find out where they took him." The chief immediately rushed off to obey. Scanning the map, he shouted, "Found him. The target is currently in the Western Pacific at 21 degrees 34 minutes north latitude." The chief gasped in sheer panic. "Lady Mary, this location, it seems to be." An image of an island appeared on the screen as he uttered, "Evernight Island." Mary's face darkened. Evernight Island? The worst-case scenario had come to pass. Back in 1999, following the prophecy of the apocalypse, two figures stood talking in the pouring rain. "He has returned. It is destiny. The world will be reborn from its ashes. La Yuanbao, you cannot stop this." The cloaked man cackled maniacally. "I don't care if this world burns with you, but my Evernight Island will not be dragged down." This man was the director, and he declared, "So, as for his damn destiny, I won't let you have your way." Back in the present, Mary thought to herself, "I absolutely cannot let Shaka fall into that old man's hands." She quickly made up her mind. "Bring him back to me, no matter the cost." The chief bowed respectfully. "Yes, ma'am." Suddenly, a subordinate reported, "Evernight Island has an anti-signal firewall, but we might be able to intercept their private communication channel." Mary suddenly remembered something and stopped them. "Hold on." She reasoned that since the Dragon Division had brought him there, La Yuanbao probably didn't know yet. She ordered a change of plans, halting the cyber intrusion. The chief complied, though still a bit confused. "Understood, Lady Mary." But why the sudden change? She explained. The most important thing right now is to avoid drawing the attention of that old geezer. He hesitantly asked, then how are we going to monitor the target? She turned and walked away. That is why we need someone else to do the dirty work for us. Mary glanced back at him calmly. Someone who can get close to Shaka without raising any suspicion. The chief gasped in realization. She smirked, clearly having a plan ready. And the perfect candidate, obviously, is someone already on Evernight Island. She sat down to look through the files, while the chief stood bowing beside her. Mary kept flipping through the documents until she finally found it. Looking at the detailed profile of a young girl, Mary let out a highly intrigued sigh. On Evernight Island, countless sea creatures swam gracefully across the sky. Just then, a massive whale glided past. Its massive eye stared intently at the figure standing in front of the glass window. As the whale drifted closer and closer, the director stood there in absolute silence. Then, a sudden smile crept onto his face. The whale's pupils reflected the director's image as he grinned creepily. A voice rasped from the distorted face. Someone walked up and asked, "Why is the director sighing? Are you paying attention to Adu? I see an ominous omen in the night sky. A great disaster is about to strike Evernight Island. This is Fa Sheng, the head of the equipment department on Evernight Island." Feeling confused, the director helplessly walked away, muttering, never mind. What's that you've got in your hand?" Handing over the folder, he explained. "Oh, it's the files of this year's applicants." He flipped through the pages with curiosity. "I have to ask, Adu, do you have any other joys in life besides work?" "At least I listen to music," Fa Sheng replied. "I actually listened to that piece you recommended by Niccolo Paganini, the legendary violinist, who supposedly sold his soul to the devil in exchange for God-level skills." The director chuckled. "Ah, that's no legend, my friend." He added, "I heard there are actually a few applicants born in the year 99, but none of them are from City S." A profile sheet slipped out, with Simon's photo attached to it. Fa Sheng hesitated before probing further. "Do you really think the demon god from the 99 prophecy would actually come to study at Evernight Island before destroying the world?" He wasn't entirely sure either, furrowing his brow. "Well, about that." He waited in silence for an answer. But the director just turned away awkwardly. "It's just to be safe. My gut feelings are always spot on, after all." The director hopped onto his bed, flopping down with a sigh. "Forget it, I won't overthink it. After all, as long as Evernight Island stands." He held up a thumb, trying to reassure himself. The demon god can't possibly make a full comeback, right? Adu closed his eyes calmly. "Let's hope so." Meanwhile, in the dormitory area, "Achoo!" A loud sneeze rang out as Chiga sniffled, his nose running. He wiped it with his hand. "Don't tell me I'm catching a cold," he muttered to himself. "The exam is tomorrow. I absolutely cannot get sick now." Then, he clasped his hands over his head and prayed, "Dear God, please bless me. I have to pass tomorrow, no matter what." A stream of water gathered in his palm. "Let's try that again." He ran his finger through it, drawing a line of water in the air. Water started swirling around him, trapping him in the center. Chije's eyes went wide as a sphere of water formed right in front of his chest, and a magic circle materialized behind his back. He gasped in surprise. This is the water element, Genesis art from the ancient book. I knew I could still use it. The water bubbled intensely as the sphere began to shrink, and it just kept getting smaller and smaller. He grinned, feeling like an absolute genius. "Wait, this is so easy. Am I actually some kind of prodigy?" The water droplets hovered, bubbling. Chiga burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha. I'm definitely going to become an Esper and live a good life." Angry shouts and complaints started echoing from the other rooms. "Are you out of your mind? It's the middle of the night. Are you gonna let us sleep or what? Go somewhere else if you're not sleeping. You looking for a beating?" The next morning, everyone gathered at the assembly point. This was the assembly area for the entrance exam at the Evernight Island training hall. Suddenly, the massive doors began to swing open. A blinding light poured through as the crowd filed in one after another. Chiji's jaw dropped in awe. He stared at the room packed with applicants. There were just way too many people. Chiga squeezed his way through the crowd, constantly looking around. With so many people here, aren't Espers supposed to be super rare? Just as the words left his mouth, a voice behind him spoke up. "You just awakened, didn't you?" A curly, blonde-haired guy approached him. "I heard that nowadays, only 1 in 500 people is an Esper." He introduced himself. "I'm Zhao Yao, But everyone calls me Da Yao. I'm from City B, China. He replied, Chija. You can just call me Chija. The guy blinked. Wait, did I hear that right? Chija? Zhao Yao pointed to the crowd behind them. Don't let the crowd fool you. The ones who actually make it into Evernight Island are the elite of the elite. Just then, a voice called out from the distance. Hey, Da Yao. Two guys and a girl approached, making him grin with excitement. You three came at the perfect time. Let me introduce you. This is Chiga. The girl with glasses stammered. Chiga. He introduced them one by one. This is Cheetos. He has earth-based hardening abilities, and his jaw can literally turn into a drill. Tipping his hat, the boy playfully stuck his tongue out. Hey there, Zhao Yao continued. And this is Oreo. She's wind system, with a refracting energy shield, which lets her blend into any environment perfectly. She seemed like a really shy girl, whispering, hi there. And lastly, this is Char Siu. The chubby guy was gulping down water, his chubby cheeks puffing as he exhaled. Chiga asked curiously, wow, they all sound incredibly strong. What about Char Siu? What's his power? The chubby guy gave a sheepish grin. I'm from Guangdong. I can eat absolutely anything. Oreo blushed, adding excitedly, but Da Yao's power is actually the most impressive of us all. Zhao Yao puffed up with pride. Ha, you bet it is. He tossed a coin into the air as a demonstration. Watch closely, let me show you how it's done. He cupped his hands together. When he opened them up, the coin had turned cherry red and was completely melting. My ability is fire-based. At maximum heat, I can reach up to 1,600 degrees Celsius, which is hot enough to melt metal. Chiga looked at Zhao Yao's flaming hand and gasped in awe. Wow, that's awesome. Zhao Yao put on a humble face and laughed. Haha, it's nothing special, really. Suddenly, Char Siu took a massive gulp of air, and with all his might, the chubby kid blew the flaming coin away. Everyone else watched in absolute horror. The coin was heading straight for someone's head nearby. He screamed a warning. Whoa, watch out, you're gonna burn him. Chiga immediately whipped his hand to summon water, yelling, I've got this, ancient water origin spell. The guy whipped his head around in shock, only to see two opposing elements flying straight at his face. He took Chija's water spell right to the face, completely speechless. The flaming coin sizzled out and dropped to the floor. Chiga froze in his spell-casting pose, totally embarrassed by the awkward silence. I mean, that still counts as a success, right? Maybe? Suddenly, Ren grabbed Chiga by the collar in a rage and snarled, You little brat, are you playing with a water gun, or what? Chiga turned pale and stammered. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. But before things could escalate, a hand landed on Ren's shoulder, stopping him in his tracks. That's enough, the newcomer said coldly. Ren clicked his tongue, muttering a frustrated TSK. He released his grip and sneered at Chige. You got lucky this time, loser. Get lost. Ren shoved Chija, sending him crashing to the floor. Chija groaned as he lay there, completely ignored as the crowd walked right over him. Edward cast a haughty glance at him and scoffed. A pathetic loser like you actually calls himself a water-type Esper? Meanwhile, Oreo and Zhao Yao rushed over to help Chiga up. Hearing that insult, Chiga snapped, What did you say? He tried to charge at Edward, shouting, Hey, get back here. What's that supposed to mean? Who do you think you are? But Zhao Yao quickly wrapped his arms around Chije, holding him back. Whoa, calm down, man. Let it go. Out of nowhere, Ren was sent flying through the air, spitting up blood. Ah! Everyone gasped as he slammed violently onto the ground, flat on his back. The crowd froze in shock. That landing looked incredibly painful. Then, a figure stepped forward, sending a shiver down their spines. It was Ye Xiao. She casually brushed off her hands as if she had just touched trash. The onlookers stared with their jaws dropped. Whoa, she's insane. Who is this girl? He definitely picked the wrong target. Veins bulged on Ren's forehead as he grinded his teeth in absolute rage. With a furious roar, he launched himself straight at her. The ground shattered beneath his feet as massive chunks of rock swirled around him, completely encasing his body until he transformed into a towering stone golem. I'll kill you, Ren roared, raising a massive stone fist. Chige and the others broke out in a cold sweat. Oh crap, he's actually going all out. But Ye Xiao remained dead calm, slowly drawing her blade. Know your place, she muttered. Just as they were about to clash, a booming voice echoed through the hall. Both of you, stand down. Suddenly, a cluster of glowing blue energy spheres, crackling with arcs of dark black lightning, completely surrounded them. Ye Xiaoxiao's eyes widened in surprise. Ren froze mid-attack, stammering, "What on earth is this?" Before he could react, an intense gravitational force slammed him flat onto the floor, pinning him down completely. Oreo pointed a trembling finger. "Hey, look over there." Everyone turned their heads in unison. Chiga murmured in awe, "Someone's coming." Out of the bright, blinding light, 4 figures emerged. In the palm of the leading man floated the very same energy sphere that had just pinned Ren down. "Freshman," the man spoke, his voice echoing coldly. "Didn't your instructors warn you that the evaluation committee would be visiting the training grounds today?" The entire room went dead silent, every single eye locked onto the newcomers. "By the way, whoever cracked the floor tiles needs to fill out a damage report later," the young man added casually. "This is our academic supervisor and head of finance. He is Nangong Se." Oreo's eyes instantly turned into giant hearts as she squealed in pure admiration. "No way. That's really Nangong Se?" He became a high-tier spirit lord at only 25 years old. Chi just stared at him, completely lost in thought. "So, this is what a true powerhouse looks like." Nangong Se gave them a warning glance. "Don't let this happen again." With a casual wave of his hand, he released them. Ren was still groaning and squirming on the ground. "Ugh, arg." Ye Xiaoxiao watched as the dark energy band slowly dissolved into thin air. The moment the pressure lifted, Ren scrambled to his feet and roared, "Damn you! Do you have any idea who I am? This isn't over." But mid-sentence, his face turned absolutely pale in a split second. Every single shred of his clothes had been blasted away, leaving him completely naked. I will destroy you," he shrieked, covering himself. Ye Xiaoxiao shrugged indifferently. "Whatever." Nangong Se stepped forward, his voice dropping to a freezing register. "That's enough. Evernight Island is not a playground for your tantrums." Next to him, old Monster Ning stroked his beard, highly amused by the drama. Diana giggled, teasing, "Oh, come on, Nangong Se, why do you have to be such a party pooper?" "Ah." She playfully stuck her tongue out and licked her fingertip, giggling with a mischievous grin. "Besides, this year's batch of recruits are actually super cute. Meet Diana, the practical training instructor of Evernight Island." Behind her, old Monster Ning, the theory instructor, scoffed and furrowed his brows. Just then, Chiga noticed someone acting incredibly suspicious, trying to hide a slip of paper behind her back. "Wait, is Teacher Kaben one of the examiners this year too?" Chiga watched her in utter confusion. What is she doing? He saw her carefully slide a registration form with his name on it into the official stack. "I forgot to hand in his registration yesterday," she muttered to herself. "If I just slip it in right now, nobody will notice." She casually whistled, scanning the room to make sure the coast was clear. Perfect. Smooth as silk. "If I get caught doing this, I'm completely dead meat." She patted herself on the back. "Ah! And done. I'm an absolute genius." Suddenly, Nangong Se's voice cut through her thoughts. "Kaben, what are you standing there daydreaming for? It's your turn to introduce yourself." Startled, she jumped and squeaked. Yes, sir." Sensing Nangong Se's suspicious glare, she cleared her throat and announced proudly, "Ahem. Kaben. I manage the security of Evernight Island, and I'm responsible for discipline at this exam hall." She points her index finger to the sky, hyping up the crowd. The candidates below instantly erupt into cheers. Gongxi then begins explaining that the exam is split into 3 rounds. Everyone goes quiet and listens intently, terrified of missing a single detail. "We will decide if you can enter Evernight Island based on your overall results." He calls over Elder Ning, handing things over to him. The old man puts on a serious face. He smiles and explains, "Ahem, the first round will test your perception limit of the elements." He continues, "To evaluate your psionic talent grade." Everyone is caught off guard. Huh? Suddenly, their bodies shake as a blinding ring of light erupts right in the center of the crowd. An earthquake is happening. "What's going on? Look, what is that over there?" They stare at the glowing ring. It's coming out. A massive pillar of light shoots straight into the heavens. What on earth is this? Shijia's jaw drops in shock. Whoa, 4 elemental beast totems are appearing in the sky. The giant dragon is the Zhaohua earth element. The beast with sharp fangs and claws is the Fentian fire element. The creature with a tiger body, an eagle head, and massive spread wings is the Huangkong wind element. And finally, the Shuanghua water element looks like an ice bird with a long tail. Everyone struggles to look as they shield their eyes from the blinding glare. It's too bright. It's blinding. Meanwhile, the crest on Shijia's chest begins to glow. Wait. Why does my chest feel kind of hot? As the light fades, everyone is left utterly stunned. Shijia's jaw drops as he gasps, "My God, are those divine beasts?" He quickly turns to ask Zhao Yao, "What on earth are those things?" But Zhao Yao's face is totally dazed, his cheeks flushed and drool dripping like a dazed drunkard. "Zhao Yao, what's wrong with you? Since when did you drink this much?" Shijia shakes his shoulders frantically. "Wake up. Are you okay?" Zhao Yao mumbles half asleep. "I really want to go over there." Shijia looks around and is shocked to see everyone else in the exact same state. "Huh? Why are you guys all acting like this?" Suddenly, Ye Xiaoxiao brushes past, bumping into his shoulder. All the candidates are walking toward the same spot, looking completely hypnotized and out of it. Shijia quickly figures it out. It's that girl from earlier. She looks out of it too. He immediately grabs her arm to stop her, yelling, "Don't go any further." Old Monster Ning smirks in disdain. What a bunch of useless brats. The three-headed staff in his hand opens its mouths, revealing sharp fangs, and unleashes crackling bolts of lightning. All the candidates clutch their heads in pain. The teachers sigh in disappointment. Sigh. Seriously, it's the same story every single year. After a moment, everyone snaps back to their senses. With confused faces, they ask, "Huh? What just happened?" Elder Ning lets out a fake cough to grab their attention. Ahem. He calmly strokes his beard, knitting his brows in annoyance. "Quiet. You are psionics. Getting captivated by the elemental totems is perfectly normal. So what's with all the panic?" Shijia remains silent, thinking in confusion. "Wait, it didn't seem to affect me at all." Ye Xiaoxiao nudges him. "Hey, you can let go of my hand now." He panics and quickly releases his grip. "Ah, sorry." She turns to walk away, but hesitates for a second. "And, thanks for earlier." Old Monster Ning smiles excitedly as he announces, "What you see before you is a three-dimensional projection, the testing barrier." A freshman named Oreo steps forward. The elder guides her. Enter the barrier. Adjusting her glasses nervously, she asks, "And then what?" As Huan Kong appears, Oreo is instantly enveloped in a brilliant green light. Inside the barrier, the test taker establishes a neural connection with the elemental totem. She stands there in a daze, clueless about what to do next. By stimulating their elemental limits, the candidate's talent is evaluated. She slowly opens her eyes as an announcement rings out. Oreo. Grade C talent. Wind element. She lets out a huge sigh of relief. "Haha, I passed." Cha Xiao throws her up in the air to celebrate. "Yeah." Next, Zhao Yao steps up, clutching his head in a panic when his name is called. Clenching his fist, he confidently declares, "There's no way I'm getting eliminated. Just watch me." The result is exactly as expected. Zhao Yao, grade B talent, fire element. The automated voice continues to ring out, "Lu Hu." Below passing standard, water element. In the crowd, Shijia watches in admiration. "A B grade is the best we've seen so far today." "That's awesome." Zhao Yao says modestly, "Ha ha ha, it's nothing special." Oreo chimes in, "You're amazing." Suddenly, Cha Xiao points in surprise. "Whoa, look over there." Zhao Hua is hovering right in front of Ye Xiaoxiao as the voice announces, "Ye Xiaoxiao. Grade A talent, earth element." She doesn't look surprised at all. Just then, someone starts shoving through the crowd, shouting, "Get out of the way, don't block the path." Cheetos gets spun around, crying, "Ouch." One of the guys shoves Shijia aside, snapping, "Move it, kid." He flares up in anger. "Why is it always you guys? Think you're tough just because there's a bunch of you? What's with the rotten attitude?" Edward's bodyguards hold Shijia back as the others clear a path for Edward, who passes by in complete silence. But his eyes are filled with pure contempt as he looks at him. Shakya frowns in confusion, remaining silent in this tense atmosphere. Next up is Edward. As the candidate enters the barrier to begin his test, Zhao Yao looks on with excitement and anticipation. As for Shakya, he crosses his arms, glares at him, and huffs, what's so great about this guy? He's got no real talent. If he's actually got skills, let's see him get an A rank. Look at this Rose boy, guys." He suddenly opens his eyes wide to watch. Frost flowers bloom right in front of him. Then, the announcement echoes, "Edward Zossman. Evaluation, A rank, water element." He still maintains his calm, effortless composure. Zhao Yao asks in shock, "Whoa, you actually called it." Are you some kind of prophet? His words feel like an arrow piercing straight through his chest. Coughing up blood, Shakya grudgingly admits, "Damn it, that bastard really is strong." Edward remains completely unfazed, yet even just standing there, one can feel his cold, overwhelming pressure. Shakya grits his teeth in envy. Is this the true power of an A-rank water elementalist? Gong-se chimes in, Zosman. Is he the successor of the Rose family? Old Monster Ning praises his talent, adding, "A shame he comes from a family of demons." Kevin asks in surprise, "Huh? A family of demons?" Nangong suddenly remembers, "Ah, that's because of their bizarre family tradition." Visions of Edward's childhood appear around him. For generations, the Rose family only nurtures the child with the strongest spiritual power to be their glorious successor, sacrificing all the others. Once the family makes their choice, the successor's siblings, according to their tradition, are secretly sacrificed to preserve the purest and strongest Rose bloodline. Even as a child, Edward's cold attitude was no different from now, surrounded by countless thorny rose vines. The glory of this family is built entirely on the blood of those sacrifices. Diana feels the reason behind it doesn't really matter. The spiritual world is full of freaks and psychos anyway. As long as he's strong enough, who cares? Gongse stays silent for a moment before coldly saying, "Is that so? I can't say I agree." Minute by minute, the candidates complete their tests one after another. As the clock hands keep spinning, registration papers fly everywhere. Among them, a few stand out. First is Musashi Kumamoto. Evaluation, A rank, Earth element. Next is Simon F. Gruber. Evaluation, A rank, Wind element. Kevin happily cheers. Wow, we've got quite a few A ranks this year. Shakya's jaw drops in awe. That's so awesome. Meanwhile, Oreo's eyes literally turn into flying hearts. He strikes up a conversation in disbelief. "Hey Simon, I didn't know you were this amazing." Simon smiles humbly. "Oh, it's nothing special. Good luck to you, Shakya." Hearing that, Shakya gets nervous and laughs awkwardly. "Ah, ha ha, I'll do my best." He tries to calm his racing heart. "No, it's just a simple test, right? There's nothing to be scared of." Meanwhile, Gongse looks at the folder in his hand and notices something. Why is the registration stamp missing? Kevin pretends to whistle, acting completely innocent. He ponders, did Kevin sneak this in earlier? Looking over Shakya's profile, nothing really stands out. The speaker blares, "Next candidate." Shakya. Zhao Yao's group cheers loudly. "You're up. You're up. You've got this. Go for it." He clasps his hands together in prayer. "Please, God, let me pass this." As he steps into the barrier, the 4 elemental beasts close in to inspect him. Gongse signals, "Begin." Simon watches closely from below, while Kevin's eyes are filled with trust. Shakya stands frozen, but inside, his anxiety is through the roof. Why aren't these elemental beasts reacting at all? One element after another stares him down, but after a while, there's still absolutely no reaction. Kevin stands silently in the distance, silently rooting for him. "Come on, Shakya, you can do it." Suddenly, complaints and jeers erupt around him. "He's taking way too long. Seriously, if you don't have what it takes, just get off the stage." Did this loser wander into the wrong room or what? Pointing his index finger forward, Shakya tells himself, "Let's try that one. I can do this." A magic circle slowly forms behind him and between his hands. He thinks back to his past and everyone who believed in him. None of the competitors here are ordinary. What? Your spiritual power is literally 0? And you think you can pass the entrance exam and leave Evernight Island on your own? You'll just end up dead. Shakya shuts his eyes tight and snaps back. No. He strengthens his resolve. No, I am not going to die here. A trace of the water element starts to form. With determined eyes, he tells himself, I am going to become a real spiritualist. But when he looks down, there is only a tiny droplet of water sitting in his palm. Wait, what? His hope instantly shatters, leaving him completely paralyzed in disbelief. Shakya drops to his knees in utter despair. So, in the end, I really couldn't do it? Suddenly, the announcer's voice booms. Shakya. Evaluation. His heart skips a beat. Water element. C rank. Shakya pumps his fists in pure joy, screaming as if it's all a dream. I passed. I actually passed. He scratches his head in absolute disbelief, laughing. Haha. To be honest, I felt a massive surge of spiritual energy burst out just now. Xiao claps his hands in celebration. That's awesome. Cheetos breaks down in tears. Boo-hoo. I'm the only one who didn't make the cut. I don't want to get eliminated. Zhao Yao puts his arm around him and laughs. Haha, cut the crap. C rank is totally fine. I'll look out for you from now on. Feeling a bit awkward, he says. Well, guess I should thank you then. Meanwhile, Cheeto squats in a corner, sulking. You heartless jerks. You're all so focused on Shijia that nobody even cares that I didn't pass. Xiao tries to comfort him. Hey, the final score is based on all 3 rounds. You still have a chance. Zhao Yao optimistically suggests. All right. Tonight's dinner is on me. Let's go grab something good to eat. I heard tomorrow's exam is going to be brutal. Shijia quietly sighs in relief. Having successfully made it through the first round, he braces himself. Although his score was a bit lower than expected, it's still a pretty good start. Suddenly, a hand slaps him from behind. Kabin hits him so hard on the back that he spits out blood, shouting, Shijia! Completely oblivious to his injury, she whacks him on the head again, sending him face-planting straight into the dirt. Ha ha ha! I knew you wouldn't let me down. Oreo looks worriedly at his battered state and hesitates. Master, is he? Seeing him completely wrecked on the ground, Kabin acts innocent. Huh? I didn't even use any strength. Simon cracks a twisted, disbelieving smile. A C rank? How is that even possible? I clearly felt an immense power just now. Are you hiding your true strength, Shijia? He thinks he has seen right through him. Just you wait. I will definitely uncover your secret. The person next to him shivers from the dark aura he's radiating. See, Simon, are you okay? He instantly snaps back to his warm, friendly persona. Oh, it's nothing. Standing on the platform, Diana notices him. My dear prince seems to be staring intensely at someone. She feigns sympathy. Oh dear, I really feel sorry for that poor guy. Old Monster Ning frowns and warns. Causing trouble on Evernight Island is strictly forbidden. Diana, you're the one who brought that Simon kid here, so keep him in line. She stretches and sighs. Sigh. I can't control him. He's Simon, after all. There's nothing he wants to do that he can't accomplish. She calmly explains. Besides, it's not like I lured Simon to Evernight Island. You could say everything was already within his calculations. It's just destiny playing out. Making a gun gesture with her fingers, she speculates. Perhaps only something completely outside of his calculations can truly spark his interest. I wonder if his calculations include his own death. Diana aims at him as darkness looms over. Bang! Gongse coldly interrupts. Cut the childish acts, Diana. She shakes her head in disappointment. Geez, you're so boring, iceberg Nangong. He looks down at the contestants below, lost in thought, with Kabin over there awkwardly scratching her head as Shijia rants at her. For him to care so much about that kid is a bit strange. Gongse recalls the scene from earlier. Just now, for a split second, did Shuanghua actually tremble and scream in agony because of him? He's clearly just a C rank. He rubs his chin, filled with doubt. Did my eyes play tricks on me? Or is there really something wrong with this Shijia kid? Just then, the astonished cries of the crowd interrupt his thoughts. Whoa, who on earth is that guy? Inside the barrier, a massive crimson flame erupts, engulfing the entire area. As the fire slowly fades, a figure emerges. A serious-looking young man stands holding a sword. Qin Ming, A+ rank, fire element. He steps onto the ground under everyone's watchful eyes. The crowd is in utter disbelief. A+? What rank is that? I've never even heard of it. What is this guy's background? Shijia is the only one not paying attention, too busy bickering with Kabin. Gongse finally cracks a smile for the first time since the selection process began. It seems there are quite a few extraordinary rookies this year. After the first round ends, late at night, the students are all fast asleep. In the dormitory, a few lights are still on. Shijia is sleeping soundly, clutching his knees and drooling, when suddenly, an ear-splitting alarm rings out. He bolts upright in a panic. He flings his door open and looks around. What's going on? People are already rushing out from the neighboring rooms, shouting, "Run!" Shijia has no idea what is happening, but decides to follow the crowd anyway. Why is everyone running outside? Is there a fire? As soon as he steps out of the building, he sees a group of officers in combat uniforms lined up. To his surprise, everyone is half asleep and nodding off. Confused, he wonders, why are there so many people? What are they trying to do? Once all the contestants have gathered, a leader steps forward. He solemnly pulls out a megaphone and shouts, "Everyone, Gather in the black forest ahead and prepare for the second round of the selection exam. The booming voice pierces everyone's eardrums, snapping them awake. Shijia's face twists in agony. His eyes were bloodshot with absolute disbelief. What? The exam is at midnight? The announcer repeated the message one more time. Please head to the black forest ahead immediately. The exam will start at exactly midnight. Anyone who arrives late will be disqualified. Shijia stood there, totally dumbfounded. This rule was way too random. Oreo frowned in worry, noting that the black forest was 10 kilometers away. But before anyone could even process this, a guy in a cloak smirked slyly. "Haha!" He leaped forward with a powerful jump. "Haha, I'm taking the lead." The surrounding examinees watched in awe as he leaped across the tree branches, vanishing into the distance in the blink of an eye. Right after that, clothes of all kinds were suddenly tossed into the air. Everyone scrambled to make a run for it. Someone yelled out, "Hey, is it even normal to wear such fully styled clothes under your pajamas?" Shijia scrambled to keep up, cursing under his breath. "Damn it, no time to think. I just have to go all out." Suddenly, a voice called out to him. "Shijia, get up here." Chashao, a class wind user, had transformed into a giant balloon carrying Zhao Yao and the others. He gestured, "Grab my hand." Shijia quickly reached out, and with his face turning beet red, Chashao yelled, "Gotcha!" He immediately zoomed off like the wind, leaving a trail of dust behind them. Shijia screamed at the top of his lungs, "Ah!" But as he looked up, he was amazed by the gorgeous, starry night sky. Zhao Yao said happily, "Thank goodness we have Chashao, otherwise we'd be running like those poor fools down there." Looking down from above, all they could see were countless black dots crawling along the ground. Unlike the guys on foot, Simon was speeding past in a ridiculously cool sports car. Shijia screamed in pure jealousy, "What the hell? How did he even get a sports car down at the bottom of the ocean?" A short while later, they finally arrived. Chashao landed with a massive thud. He crash-landed flat on his face, pinning Shijia underneath him. Dizzily, Shijia mumbled, Thanks for the ride." They ended up piled on top of each other like a human pyramid. Then, an announcement echoed, "Welcome to the Black Forest Amusement Zone." The Black Forest, the entrance to the Evernight Island artificial training facility. The gate, woven from tree roots, glowed with a mystical green light. A girl standing atop the gate remarked, "Oh my, quite a crowd we have here." Well then, she looked down. "Let's get right into the second round of the exam." This was Diana, the practical training instructor of Evernight Island. As everyone listened intently, she announced in a loud voice, "Your task is to cross the Black Forest." She grinned with excitement, putting Shijia's group on high alert. "You must cross the Black Forest before sunrise." The atmosphere around her suddenly turned dark and ominous as she added, "You may use any means, any dirty tricks necessary to pass." Simon remained completely calm, while Edward and Ye Xiaoxiao looked unfazed. But the others? They wore downright sinister grins. They trembled with wicked excitement, ready to do whatever it takes. The gate began to glow blindingly. Only the first 100 survivors to make it back will pass. Everyone else's score this time will be voided, she warned. Remember, Evernight Island only welcomes the strong. Suddenly, a hand pulled him through the gate, and Shijia closed his eyes as he tumbled in, crying out, "Ow!" He looked around in a daze at the surrounding woods and glowing fireflies. Whew, where am I? Didn't we all enter together just now? Where is everyone? He called out loudly, "Zhao Yao, Chashao, Oreo, Cheetos, where are you guys?" Meanwhile, a blurry figure emerged from the distant mist. Simon walked slowly, whispering, "Looks like I'm lost." He glanced at the glowing specks floating in the air, all designed to confuse and disorient anyone who entered. "I need to get out of here fast." He closed his eyes, placing 2 fingers on his forehead as a purple crest glowed. The divine eye of Horus, which sees through all past and present. Suddenly, a complex web of thin threads appeared right before his eyes. This forest actually has 12 exits. Sparks flared in his eyes. Well then, Simon reached inside his coat to grab something. But which one is the real exit? Holding an antique pocket watch, he muttered doubtfully, "Is this thing even accurate?" Elsewhere, a bunch of thorny vines started slithering. Shijia got tangled up and struggled to break free, crying out in pain. "Ow, ow, ow. That hurts." He scanned his surroundings as he walked. "Damn it, why can't I find the others? It's literally nothing but thorns here." He grabbed a broken tree branch. This creepy place better not have any monsters. Well, I guess I can use this as a weapon. Suddenly, he noticed some movement on a tree trunk. A snake beast flicked its tongue, preparing to strike. Startled, he gasped, "Whoa!" But what happened next was bizarre. Shijia managed to pinch its neck with just 2 fingers, leaving himself completely stunned. He found its tiny size pretty hilarious. Is this supposed to be some legendary forest beast? It gave me a mini heart attack. Meanwhile, the little creature continued to squirm fiercely. But looking at this tiny creature's face, huh? Suddenly, Shijia remembered the first round of the exam. This thing looked quite similar to the earth element totem he saw earlier, the earth creation. Is this little guy an earth attribute beast too? Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet began to glow, making him panic. What's going on? The ground. And the snake beast in his hand suddenly grew extremely aggressive. It was 1 a.m., dying in the forest for the 32nd time inside the Tower of Miracles. High above, the control room is bathed in the soft glow of the moonlit night sky. Inside the tower, Kabon is fast asleep, completely oblivious to the world. Meanwhile, in another corner, Diana and Old Monster Ning sit comfortably, keeping a close eye on the freshman. She speaks up, "Oh my, I love newbies the most. Their fresh scent is absolutely intoxicating." Old Monster Ning replies, "So the exam ground turns out to be a trap-infested black forest. You really show these newbies no mercy at all." She giggles, "Oh, come on. It's precisely because they're newbies that we have to be extra hard on them." Then, Diana turns her gaze toward Shaka, who is currently in a state of utter panic, her tone carrying a hint of twisted excitement. "Fight brutally. Now. Blooming buds are so much more beautiful when they're drenched in blood. Only those who solve the puzzle correctly can earn their welcome as actual freshmen." Back to Shaka's battle suddenly, a blinding light erupts, forcing him to gasp. Whoa! Something is slowly taking shape. What? What is this? Suddenly, the light morphs into a giant phantom snake beast right in front of Shaka, terrifying him to the bone. He stammers, wait, big bro, my bad." Quickly regaining his composure, he thinks, "I need to find a way to escape, fast." The beast lets out a powerful hiss that turns his face pale. Without a second thought, Shaka scrambles to run for his life. The snake roars and chases after him. "Help! Save me!" Suddenly, the snake's tail whips him hard, sending a surge of pain through his body. Ah! Instantly, Shaka is sent flying through the air. The beast's power is immense. That single strike sends him crashing through multiple ancient trees in a row. Aching all over, Shaka struggles to stand up, leaning against a tree trunk. He groans, Is this for real? My bones are about to break," but he quickly shakes it off. "No, pull yourself together. This is an exam. I have to fight back." Shaka prepares to use his technique to counter the beast, but before he can even finish casting Ancient Book, Elemental Construct, the snake lunges forward with its mouth wide open, ready to swallow him whole, freezing him in place. In the next second, both the snake and Shaka crash through the forest, knocking down countless trees in their wake. The beast uses its entire body weight to push forward, while Shaka holds on for dear life, trembling under the pressure. Gritting his teeth, Shaka tightly grips its massive fangs, using his feet to push against its lower jaw with all his might. Stay back," he screams, pouring every ounce of his strength into resisting. "Where is my protagonist's plot armor anyway?" "Lord Blackblade, you said you'd always be with me. So why aren't you showing up?" Venom slowly begins to drip from the beast's dual fangs, heading straight for Shaka's thigh. The burning venom gets closer and closer, finally dripping onto his skin and sizzling as it eats deeper into his flesh. Shaka screams out in absolute agony. Suddenly, a spinning sword flies out of nowhere, closing in on them in an instant. The sword stabs straight into the phantom beast's eye, leaving Shaka utterly dazed and confused. The beast thrashes around in agonizing pain, throwing him aside. Shaka slumps against a tree trunk, and before he can even catch his breath, a sharp voice rings out. "You idiot! What are you just standing there for?" Furious after the surprise attack, the beast roars with rage and charges straight at him. Panicking, he looks up at the person who just saved him and cries, "Ye Xiao Xiao." Grasping the hilt of her sword, Ye Xiao Xiao prepares to pull it out. She looks at the sweating Shaka and barks, "Can you move your legs? Run." Without a second thought, Shaka runs like the wind, leaving her behind to fight the beast. Ye Xiao Xiao stays completely focused. She grips the hilt tightly and begins pulling the sword out of the snake's eye. Blood spurts out instantly as she sits triumphantly on top of the beast, ripping her sword free and causing blood to splatter everywhere. She leaps off the beast, landing gracefully right next to Shaka and startling him. Whoa, where did you come from? Ignoring his question, Ye Xiaoxiao coldly replies, stop wasting your breath and run. Shaka can only comply. Right. As they run, Shaka stammers, thank you. But I think we really made it mad. Knowing they can't drag this out, Ye Xiaoxiao shares her plan. My master once said that anger exposes weaknesses. Distract it. And leave the rest to me. Shaka protests, what? How am I supposed to distract a giant snake? Without giving him an answer, she immediately dashes off, leaving him on his own. Hey, wait! He screeches to a halt and looks back, only to see the beast tracking Ye Xiaoxiao's movements. Shaka realizes it is going after her. Having no other choice, he picks up a rock and hurls it hard at the beast, shouting, Hey, you stupid snake, over here! The beast fumes with rage, while Shaka continues to taunt it. Come on, bring it on! Unable to take the insult, the snake opens its massive jaws and lunges at him. This is his chance. Readying his spell, he shouts, Now, ancient book, elemental construct. Instantly, a powerful shield of water wraps around him, blocking the snake's attack. But it doesn't hold for long. As the beast pushes forward with increasing force, Shaka has to grit his teeth, pouring everything he has into holding his ground. He slowly backed away, growing weaker with every step. Finally, unable to hold on any longer, just as he was about to fall backward, he cried out, Ye Xiaoxiao, hurry! Hearing this, Ye Xiao quickly clasped her hands and chanted her spell, Myriad Manifestations, Earth's Ward, Earth Spirit Bind. The moment she finished her chant, several giant thorns erupted and wrapped tightly around the phantom beast. The sharp thorns coiled around its body, squeezing tighter and tighter before locking onto its neck with a death grip. The phantom beast let out an agonizing shriek of pain. Ready to deliver the ultimate blow, she leaped from her spot and lunged straight at the phantom beast. Ye Xiao slashed at it repeatedly, finishing the monster off with her ultimate strike, cross slash. Instantly, a massive explosion erupted right behind her. She walked away victoriously without even looking back. Seeing this, Shiji's eyes widened in utter disbelief. That giant snake. Ye Xiao gracefully sheathed her sword on her back, while he stood there dumbfounded, thinking, she just insta-killed it. Suddenly, an object started glowing with a blinding light, leaving him completely baffled. He muttered, Huh? What is this? But just as he was about to celebrate, thinking it was a boss drop, a dart suddenly shot straight toward him. The sudden attack turned his face pale. The dart slammed directly into the tree, barely grazing his cheek. Still, he cried out in pain, Ow, that hurts. Who's there? Seeing his reaction, a group of people smirked deviously. He quickly spotted them. It's him. Ren and his gang emerged from the bushes, with Ren sneering, You again. And you even brought this C-rank loser along. He, nobody is saving you this time. Ren immediately made his intentions clear. Hand over the earth, elemental totem right now. Furious, Ye Xiao reached for her sword, ready to teach them a lesson. My master once said that some people are just born without a shred of decency and are practically begging to be beaten up. Today, I've truly had my eyes opened. Hearing this, Ren barked at his lackeys. You're dead meat. Get them. Yes, boss. The lackeys lunged at her, shouting, Die! But she didn't bat an eye, her gaze remaining razor-sharp and unwavering. With flawless precision, she took down the first guy in a single strike. Without missing a beat, she lunged at the second, and quickly wiped out the last one as well. She then landed gracefully, standing unfazed over the beaten thugs groaning on the ground. So, who's next? She asked calmly. The remaining thugs shivered in fear, while Ren's hand slowly transformed into solid, jagged stone. Damn it, you little brat. Raising his massive stone arm, he roared, Taste my ultimate skill, giant lithification. Without a second thought, Ye Xiao dashed forward, sword in hand. The two charged straight at each other, heading toward a brutal collision. But she was a step faster, landing a devastating slash right across his chest. Ren shrieked in agony, Erg! The remaining lackey was completely paralyzed with fear. My arm, Ren screamed. Meanwhile, Shij cheered excitedly. Way to go! Furious, the remaining thug tried to vent his anger on Shij, punching a nearby tree to intimidate him. What? Take this, the thug snarled. Fortunately, Shij dodged just in time. Because the thug had punched with all his might, his fist got stuck deep in the trunk, and he couldn't pull it out. Damn it, it's stuck. Seizing the golden opportunity, Shij grabbed a heavy wooden branch, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. Heh. Ren now knelt before her blade, panting heavily. Huff, huff, huff. She stood tall and proud, her sword pointed straight at his throat. Nobody is saving you this time. She interrogated him coldly. Speak. Have you been tracking me this whole time? Struggling to catch his breath, he quickly lied. No, we weren't. We only wanted the earth elemental beast. We planned to wait for it to swallow that kid, then kill it. Before he could even finish, Zhij overheard from the bushes and gasped in shock. You guys were seriously planning to use me as bait for an elemental boss? Ye Xiao cut them off, raising the glowing totem in her hand. Second question. What exactly is this totem? Struggling to stand up, Ren explained. If you kill a phantom beast that matches your own element, you get an elemental totem fragment. Anyone who collects all 4 types of elemental totems can leave the Black Forest and pass the exam. Hearing this, Sage placed his hand on his chin, deeply lost in thought. Since everyone only has one element, the only way to get all 4 is to steal them from other people. Ren suddenly sneered, glaring at him with pure contempt. Only 100 people can stay on Evernight Island. A loser like you doesn't deserve to make it out alive. Those words hit Siege like a bolt of lightning. Huh? The two kept bickering back and forth, leaving Ye Xiao standing there completely speechless. You sneaky bastard, who are you calling a loser? A bottom-tier C-rank loser like you deserves to rot in this forest. You think you actually stand a chance of getting admitted? Gritting his teeth, Siege cursed. Damn it, what does my C-rank have to do with you anyway? What gives them the right to look down on C-rankers? Just then, an unexpected voice suddenly rang out. Simply because trash like you don't deserve to stay here and waste the resources of Evernight Island. The crowd, finally snapping out of it, whipped their heads around toward the voice. Who is that? The entire forest fell into an eerie silence as 2 rows of bodyguards lined up, clearing a path for Edward Jossman. Spotting him, Ye Xiao frowned. It's him. She muttered his name under her breath, Edward. He walked forward with an easy, confident stride, stopping right in front of Ren, who was kneeling on the ground. Ren stammered, Young master. Edward looked down at him, his face cold as ice. Ren, you failed. Clinging to the ground, Ren begged desperately, Please give me one more chance. I beg of you. I beg of you. Edward opened his palm in front of Ren's face. I am deeply disappointed in you. He unleashed his magic, sending Ren spiraling into absolute despair. No. The pure energy radiating from Edward left Tika and Ye Xiao completely stunned. Their voices rang out in urgent warning. It's the water element. Watch out, get back. Edward's face tightened. On the sidelines, everyone shielded their eyes as a blinding light burst forth. The thick, swirling dust had them covering their faces, coughing uncontrollably. Cough, cough, cough. By then, Ren had been completely turned into an ice statue. Edward callously pushed him over, letting him crash to the ground and shatter into hundreds of pieces. He turned back to look at them with deep annoyance, leaving Tika and Ye Xiao horrified. They couldn't help but curse under their breath. That bastard! Shocked, Tika confronted Edward. You killed him. Why would you do that? Edward replied coldly. His mission was to collect 10 totems and eliminate the C-rank trash. Since he failed, he was useless. Tika gasped in horror. But this is just a game. You actually murdered someone over a competition? His words made Edward freeze for a second, before he suddenly burst into a hysterical laugh. Ha ha ha. He locked eyes with Tika, a twisted, mocking smirk on his face. Ha! The Spirit Energy World Tournament is a brutal place. Here, everyone must bow to the truly strong.